Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another season of the NECC. I'm McCready. Joining me today is the wonderful Wes or Wilku. I'm still not really sure how to pronounce it. How do you say it, man?
It's Wheelku, but everyone says Wheelku, which is totally fine. It's like such a subtle difference that West is good enough anyway. So.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I can't really complain with that. Makes my life easier. Makes your life easier. We're all happy, but we do have something that isn't going to be easy. We got a very big lineup between two heavy-hitting teams so far in the Challenger division, don't we? It's going to be Murray State Gold and Lebanon Valley going up against each other.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the rosters if we're able to bring that up. I don't know what visuals we have this season. I think we do. We've had it for a while here. So
Yeah.
first one is Murray State Gold. They have multiple teams, so I just want to clarify what team this is. This is the gold team. Last season they had blue and gold. I don't know all the different teams they might have this season, but gold certainly been the forefront for their school. They have Noodles, DNA Plays, Dual Shock 4, Bravo, and Nikki Jams are the main lineup here, as you can see off to the side. The top person, Noodles, who's been around for a while, we've become familiar with the name. They are a senior. So this will be their last year playing C.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you have to see team players just head off, but you get to see some more fresher meat coming into the foreplay, and that is what we're going to be seeing over on the other side with Lebanon Valley. They do have a couple of these fresher players coming through. I'm looking mostly over towards Plexios and Emporium. They're coming through as freshmen. They got a couple of sophomores up there as well to just kind of round the team out. I remember you saying quite earlier, Wes, about how DJ, yeah, Davis
Davis.
TV. There we go. Yeah, just took a little second. Davis TV, he's been around a little bit as well, and been one of those mainstays in the roster today.
Yeah, sophomore. So last season, we did definitely see them playing. And these teams have some history, right?
Oh
If we
yeah.
look back, we look at Murray State Gold. I just actually refreshed myself on this just to double check, but they did win their division both seasons. So both the fall and the spring, they had won
Mm.
in the playoffs, everything. So, and they were already in, I believe, this same division. But LVC on the other side, for one, they beat Carthage in their own division, but it was the division below this one. It was Emergence. Now they've moved up, so they have been moved up. And then on top of it, they still, yeah, they beat the undefeated team in the regular season, but they also
Mm.
did lose in the semifinals. They didn't make it to the finals in playoffs in spring. So just something to keep note of. Um, if those divisions are accurate, if they have really been moved up, then they're going to be a little bit of an underdog here facing the heavy hitters that are Murray State Gold.
Yeah, but you kind of look at it and you say underdogs. However, from what I've heard, they don't really seem to be those underdogs. It seems to be quite well balanced in my eyes. You're looking at two teams, a lot of presence, a lot of capability behind them. Yeah, I think on paper you're going to look towards Murray State Gold. They are going to be on paper the stronger team, but that just gives Lebanon Valley a lot more to work with, in my opinion. But going to be taking a look at the map bands here. Now, we are going to be playing a best of three, so the teams, unsurprisingly, and unfortunately for some people who might like some of the newer maps coming in, you got Clubhouse, Oregon, and followed up with Chalet. But when you look at it, you consider it's the start of the season, Wes. These maps start to make quite a lot more sense. They want to get back to basics, just get the little simple things right, and what better maps to do it on?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the nerfs that we've seen, and I think we're going to jump into this first map. So Clubhouse
Mm.
should be starting right off the bat here. And it looks like it was MSU's pick. So Murray State did choose this to start off. So they are going to, allegedly have that favor since they chose it for a reason. But like you said, these are the mainstay maps. And with the meta changing so heavily because of the nerfs to recoil, for example, silencers now having no damage drop off, the EMP Thatcher gadget side kit thing that a lot of operators have, Thatcher no longer really needs to be banned, right?
Mm.
So those things in mind, it's going to change the meta a lot. I think with that still being figured out, what is the new meta? You want to go to at least maps that would be familiar while you're familiarizing yourself with all these changes that have come through.
Yeah, and you look over towards Clubhouse, you look over towards Oregon. These are the competitive maps. And you look at it at like T4, T3 level, these are the maps that you go to. Yeah, there was a point in time you just didn't see any variation. So I'd expect both of these teams to be very, very comfortable on these maps. Like you say, there are those little changes that will have to be brought in. There are those little adaptations to the meta that might be brought, maybe with Thatcher, maybe with the inclusion of newer operators like Brim, and maybe looking towards Osa. I don't know. you look at that and you've got to say, well, this is a good map for it. You have that baseline of confidence. You know that general meta. Now you can start messing around with it. When you look towards a map like Theme Park or a map like Skyscraper, still relatively quite fresh coming back into the competitive pool, then you start to complicate things. And that brings us down very neatly into that my first point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good point, right? I mean, if you're not going to be familiar with the maps and you don't know like what's really going on with all the different gadgetry and like what bands should be going on with operators,
Mm,
you just want to fall back to that comfort. You want to fall back to those maps that at least I know how to push this. I know what different
yeah.
holds we can have that are universal, right? It doesn't matter that, whether Thatch is available or not. We've always played, there's going to be certain shields in certain positions. We know all these things about it. It has that familiarity. It's going to give you that
Mm,
comfort, and especially with so many changes, this might be the biggest change in an off season for all the different components in the game that we've ever really seen. I mean, recoil massively changed. So if you shoot more than
mm,
20 bullets, then all of a sudden you start to have way more recoil, whether LMG or not. LMGs obviously were nerfed specifically as well, but any gun. Once you get past like I think of 22 bullets, you just start to the vertical recoil increases. You
mm,
start to get maybe some side to side, so that's going to be massive. The silencers too, now you're going to be messing with your gadgets, or excuse me, your attachments on your guns
mm,
more, so you're going to be experimenting with that. So and then on top of it, if you want to bring those EMP side kits, like what do you replace them with? You could bring the Lion. It's a pretty common one that's been seen in the meta and pro play, for example. A lot of Lion Dokubi's been brought, because they have those things in their toolkit, which allows you to get
mm.
things opened up a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think one of the very interesting things about those with those EMP kits is, well, some of them do replace a couple of nade operators, so that's quite interesting as well. I think when you look at towards the recoil, unless you've got one of those RMGs, you won't feel it as much. You look towards operators like Ash and Zafir. Their recoil's been reduced. They feel like they used to about a year ago. It's been a very exciting time for myself. But speaking of exciting times, we are going to be jumping inside this game right now, looking towards the attack side. Obviously, Murray State, they're going to kick things off on the operator bands. Probably might be going for a comfort Thatcher, but I expect a Maverick or something to be on the board. Jackal, though, doesn't really surprise me.
And with those EMPs, will Thatcher still be banned? Well, I guess we'll find out, but you expect that it wouldn't matter whether he was or not. So Lebanon Valley, they might ban him just because like you're not really taking anything away from yourself at this point, right? So taking him out, yeah, might as well. You still have other options. You're on attack. They already took a powerful attacker on Jackal away from you. So you're not really hurting yourself anymore when you ban out that Thatcher. You're just going to make
Yeah.
it so it's a comfort. You don't take away any of the ops that you might actually want to play. No one's used to playing him anymore, so banning him out totally fine. On the other side, we're going to stay with the comfort ban of Cade, but with those EMPs that I mentioned, I have to wonder if that's really even that helpful. Maybe a Mira or a Valk would have helped the
Mm.
attackers more.
Yeah, I feel like coming into a clubhouse map, a Valkyrie Band would be a really interesting choice. Like you say, obviously you do have those EMPs. However, the question is, do Lebanon Valley really want to run them? Do they want to deal with that? Do they want to have that problem? Now, Habana's still on the board, so in my mind, I think yes, Cade is a good ban. You don't have to risk anything either. So you look towards those bottom floor hatches and you say, right, we can get these Sabata pellets down. We don't have to rush. We can take our time with it. Cade is off the board. Mira joining them in that wall of shame will not be showing in our game at the moment.
Attackers need to
But
locate and
that
defuse
is
the
yet
bomb.
again one of those more comfort operators that you want to take away. You just don't have to deal with it. When you think about the lines of sight on Clubhouse, the way the Mira can be played up towards construction in a gym bedroom hole, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's an interesting lineup too that they have going. They have the Ying for one. That's always going to be of all right. I guess we're doing a little bit of a rehost because something must have been off.
Yep, it's a audio bug.
Oh well, there we go. That solves the mystery. So again, we're having a little delay. So unfortunate, but it happens, right? This is the first week, so we have to expect these things to happen.
Yeah, you really do. But I was enjoying the theory crafting, so I'm not entirely upset about this. I mean, we got a very slight little look over towards that attacking and defensive lineup. They went for a CC hold. Obviously, they're gonna have to go back there. I don't think the attackers actually know it's there because that rehost was called so quickly. You mentioned up that Ying. That's a very important part of it, in my opinion, because well, that just screams out aggression and that screams out speed. Now, with the LMG nerf, you're not going to be taking it just for the weapon, which is that LMG. You've got to have a plan behind it. So I expect Lebanon, they're going to want to come out with the gates fast, hard, take that early aggression, take that early round, and just set the pace for the game. make MSU close in on yourselves. And I feel like that's the game plan there. They want to show that they are the heavy hitters.
That could be it. The other thing too is it does bring smokes. So if they don't have any bulletproofs, to see that, you can try and smoke
Mm,
off and block off the sites from main stairs, rush
yeah.
in after you get the wall open, try and get a plant down that way. Some other things that they have the Maverick, so they're pretty much guaranteeing themselves that wall, right? So you don't have to worry about
Mm,
trying to get rid of the bandit who might be bandit tricking. They did have a bandit, right? They also had the mutes. So they had definitely the gadgetry to try and deny that. So the Maverick's there to circumvent it, at least give you, well, he doesn't have he has flashes now. He doesn't have nades anymore. So that is something
mm,
to keep in mind as well. So he can't just like do the whole make a hole in the wall, throw a nade through it, which I never was like a huge fan of in the first place. But you don't even have that option anymore. So you can Maverick trick still, but they brought the thermite, so I feel like that would be kind of an interesting choice to make.
yeah, I feel like you would just go for that bottom line on the CC wall, and you'd say, right, well, let's hold out for any bandits, hold out for any mutes, get the utility, get that wall open. No messing around, no drawing smiley faces in the wall, just business, get it open, get moving. Honestly, though, you look at that, you bring the Maverick, you speed up a lot of things. Like you say, you don't have to worry about the EMPs. You don't have to wait about the timing. Because those EMPs, they do not last as long as Thatcher EMPs. So it is a lot difficult if you are trying to compare which one's better when getting, say, a thermite charger down on the wall. But with that Maverick, like I said, you don't have to worry. You open that wall, you get it done. You rotate over to construction or you rotate over to garage. Bringing that hub on, I expect it to be more towards construction. You get that wall open, similar time. You can really start to speed things up. But we've only seen 30 seconds of a game that was rehosted immediately. The real question is, where are we going to move on from here? I mean, in terms of winning the first round, how do you feel like that's going to have an impact?
Well, the other thing too is like we're talking about all these operator pigs, and it's good to have like an idea of what the initial
Mm,
thought process was. But like they're still like they could still switch. The attacker repick's still up. So I mean, the attackers don't have to worry so much because they can just change their mind on a lot of those picks that we had just broken
yeah.
down, which is funny, but it happens. On the defense though, I do think they have to stick with that lineup, right? So they're gonna have that mute, they're gonna have that bandit, they're gonna
Mm,
have the Aruni, excuse me. So a little bit of what their setup is. They're going to have to go to that same bomb site like you had mentioned. So CC not super favorable. It has been an attacker-sided kind of meta the last stage, and now we're going to a
mm,
place where like we're still figuring it out with all those changes that we've talked about a billion times now.
yeah.
So like, what's going to happen here? Well, the win rate was already bad. I don't feel like the changes have really favored the defenders, so it is an interesting choice to see them go to that bomb site of all bomb sites. But maybe they just this is just testing it out. We'll just throw our worst bomb site at them, and then if this
Mm.
doesn't work, we'll rotate to a better one.
Yeah, I mean, looking towards how Lebanon were kind of inching in that drone phase, with that aggressive play, I'd say maybe chuck a sense in there. Now, we haven't seen much of sense in the competitive scene because it's not an operator a lot of teams have taken to. The recoil hasn't been that favorable for a lot of people. Come on with the ACOG can make it a little bit difficult. And I don't think people really feel like they get much trade off with that gadget. I feel like, get that wall open. You have somebody covering rafters from the breach. You have somebody covering from the radio window, looking over towards red stairs. You have a sense on that wall. Get one of those Roteros in. Set up a wall covering cache. Now they know they need to CCTV. They need to see for yourself. Sorry, CCTV is a bit weird. They need to watch you apparently as you go for the plant, and they will try and see for you. So that's where you might have that player playing down below. You can get very aggressive. It can be risky, but it's something I do want to see a lot of teams take forward to. And Lebanon, if you're watching this, maybe humor me just a little bit.
I mean, the drone work would be. Do you really want to dedicate someone below, or do you just have a drone watching for that C4 to come through? Perhaps. The other thing that we haven't talked about too much, you mentioned it a little bit, but that garage control is going to be pretty important. So I'm wondering what are they going to do to get that control in there? I mean, they have the hard breach clearly necessary to get the garage walls
Mm,
open. They can circumvent the mute jammers that might be on there with the Hibana, and then getting some utility over. Um, they have they had ooh, what the heck? I am blanking on her name. What's the girl with the clone, the Gemini clone? Why am I just blanking on her
Yana.
name? Yana. I always blank on
Yeah.
her too. It's always her. She still has nades. They took away Yana's Gaunt 6, yes, but the nades are still there. So if
Mm,
they needed to, they can still throw those over after they make like a Hibana a hole up top above the mute jammer's radius, and then clear that out if they had to, right? So there's still some of the old school ways of clearing some of the gadgetry and getting those walls opened up. But then, even then, like you still have the person on rafters that you have to clear out. It's like,
Mm,
what are they going to do? They didn't bring a capital, right? So that's not the fire arrows aren't going to be there for them. They have limited number of nades. You've talked about that. The nades have changed. Like a lot of nades were
mm.
removed, right? You have Yana, you have Glaz, I think still has his. You have Sledge, and I think there's one more operator who I am forgetting, but that's it. I think there's only 4 operators total that have nades, so you're really limited on how many nades you can bring these days.
Yeah, and it's one of those where you've really got to be careful with how it's working. But we are going to be jumping back into the game, hopefully for the final time in his first map that has been struggling a little bit to get going. But, hopefully here we go.
Attackers need to locate and
Moving back over
defuse
towards
as
that
many bombs as they
CCTV
can.
site, like you said, those operators have had to stay the same. They do have that smoke, they do have the Aruni, the Jaeger, and the Bandit. I feel like these are the big operators to bring onto. Bandit, obviously, combined with Mute, gets that denial onto those walls. You have the Bandit charges, C4s. Jaeger has that gun. That gun is coming back. It's been a very exciting
Yes.
time for me, whereas Ash, Zafir, Jaeger, the guns, they're all back to where they were about a year ago. I love playing it. It has been a beautiful bit of
10
nostalgia for
seconds left
myself,
before insertion.
and I'm very excited seeing what some of these gunners can
5
do. Now,
seconds
we
left
know
before insertion.
a lot of these players can be absolutely cracked. I mean, the
Attackers
collegiate
objective
scene
to
is
locate a bomb
a
and defuse
sleeper
it.
area, I think, in NA
Attackers dropped the
Siege.
diffuser.
I
It is
believe
Attackers
so
dropped the
too.
incredible.
bomb diffuser.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't necessarily expect to see incredible innovations necessarily. I mean, you could, but just
Mm.
historically, we haven't necessarily seen those. But we do see interesting plays based on the skill level, right? Because even at the lower levels, a lot of setups require you to have a certain skill set mechanically. Sometimes they don't have that, so then they have to go for some different odd approaches because of that lack of skill that they might not have. They can't hold certain positions because they just they don't have the gun skill for it, or they try maybe and die. So I mean, it's something to keep an eye out for. The might be different approaches to this gameplay of that skill level difference.
Oh, well, speaking of different approaches as well, like you said, they do have that player trying to open that garage. They open it a little bit. They try and get the nade to take out the player of DualShock. Unable to do that, they will be able to escape, but the damage done to DualShock under half HP with a minute left on the
Oh,
round. But Bravo is going to be there to avenge it. A deposit for later in the round, yes, but you do have to try and cash that in pretty quickly. DualShock will be able to get this bandit trick off. Catches that wall, takes away those Savannah pellets, and leaves Plexios in a
located by
very
attackers.
difficult position.
Mr. Dave is not aware of his positioning outside. Clearly, just didn't realize the angle was there and available for the Raptors player and gets taken out. And that sucks, man. That's your nades and your Yana clones gone. So I mean, there's a Gates. Those Yana clones, the Geminis, are perfect. Clear out the Gates. Now you have to use other utility to shut those down, and then they'll of course be reactivated later. But you just want them to have that clear, safe way in, so you don't have to sacrifice health to get inside. This breach, because it was above, right, a little bit with the upside down rappel, it does leave
Yeah,
a little bit of a
ooh.
vault there, so it's gonna make it a little difficult for these attackers to get inside.
Yeah, the utility is going to have to be on point, as Bravo will take a little bit of damage from the breach. Now, that Ayubruni has to hold those two angles. This opens things up for the attackers, but Bravo's looking exactly where they need to go. Nicky jams as well, but Bravo's on for a third, and DNA closes things out. Murray State, a very decisive first round. The breach got opened, the players pushed in, but the defenders were holding the exact angles they needed to, and knew exactly when to strike.
Really good job, flawless, right? So they come out, they hold down the different angles they wanted. Like I said, they maybe were going to go for that Ying play to try and clear out
Mm.
things and smoke it out, try and get a plant, but it didn't really work out on a lot of facets of this round
Attackers
for
need to locate and
LVC.
defuse as
They
many bombs as
didn't
they
get
can.
the clears that they wanted, right? The opening up of the garage walls didn't
Mm.
really work to the standards that they were hoping for. Yana dying early really did not help at all. That's your nades gone, the only nades on the board. So it's a lot of your destructive
Mm.
capabilities not available.
And it's one of the more experienced players that you do have on the team, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. That like you said, an experienced player off the board. So now you're left with all the other people trying to collect the pieces. The other thing was again, like we mentioned, that breach was not perfect, right? You had to hop over it. That's just a little bit of a sound cue. It's also a little bit more time taken to try and get
Mm,
inside. And the other thing that I didn't particularly like about it was one dimensional. They didn't get garage control. They only had someone on the window on the other side of CC. That's it.
yeah.
They didn't do construction push. They didn't go up main stairs. They didn't do anything to pair with it. And so they were just thrown into the meat grinder.
Yeah, and for the side of MSU, it's a very simple thing to hold those positions. Like I said, the big player there was Bravo, holding that rafters position. You can watch the garage door. You can look all the way down to secret. You can even see outside the breach, which is something we brought up during that round. That's the big thing for me. You're able to hold all these angles. That's when you want to start contesting it. Not earlier like Mr. Davis did, but that's when you want to start contesting it. You have a player down in garage, you have a player on the breach, you put the pressure on that Raptors player, you take that control. Or like you say, you rotate around. You gotta have that second element, otherwise all the defenders can just converge. That's what we saw. But let's not get too critical, Wes. On the flip side, we did see a good bit of damage being done, a lot of basic progress being done by Lebanon, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't incredible, but it wasn't bad. There was the basic things starting to get done right. They were focusing on these areas, and right now, jumping into this second round, you can see they've got that vertical play already. They've cleared out those roamers on that top floor. Bravo being taken out as well, and well, Mr. Davis will start to do the due diligence of droning. The big thing striking out to me right now is flanks. Is there anyone watching these flank cameras? Are these vertical holes being prepared to cover these pushes?
And it's playing in a precarious position here. That actually can be seen from the hatch if he's not careful. So he misses some shots on the player who was not even looking at him at the bottom of main. So missed opportunity there. It is opening kill for Lebanon Valley. So like you mentioned, that is a boon for them. Going to have a little bit more of an advantage. The drop down from Senate is going to actually work out. They're going to get the plant down. No one's watching for this. I think paired with that flashbang, it worked out. They haven't even gone for anything else. They didn't get clear of the dirt room push. So this is all just going to be covered from that hatch now. And here it is. All the kills falling in favor of Lebanon Valley. Dual Shock trying to bring it back. Gets a kill on Emporium. But it's just up to Dual Shock now to try and figures everything out on this round. It's not looking great. They don't have much HP. It's just about half left in the tank for them. In a 1v4 post plant as well. No time remaining for them. So they're just going to hope for some consolation kills here. But if they play this smart on the side of Lebanon Valley, it's a done round. They have the vertical hold from above, and then maybe even some players down below holding different angles. So it's just going to run out on time alone, if not the body getting found here. So it's just a matter of when they lose the round, and that's just going to end it right there on the time.
Yeah, like you said, that round was gone pretty much as soon as that refrag came through from DualShock over towards the main stairs from Moto. I think the big thing for myself here from the side of Murray State is DualShock in that situation, you want to be playing for the vertical. Lebanon, they held it very well. They had those players drop. I think personally they should have gone for that clear or maybe a push towards Moto or blue. Have that player in blue, cut down any rotation, make sure that the players of MSU are stuck. You don't have that player above. But they did. DualShock was available and could have gone and contested that kitchen, could have been able to find those frags. And the vertical work, it's been done for those attackers. They have the angles to watch. They can see exactly what they need to. So going down the main stairs, I don't think was the play. You get that pick, race back upstairs. You get back upstairs, you go to kitchen, or you go up to Logi, start making some fur. Ultimately, once you go downstairs and you commit to that push, like you say, the players are there, they have the angles, the time is on your side. It wasn't really going to go any way other than MSU, but, it's only 2 rounds. We're 1-1 even scoreline. It might just be a case of getting the cobwebs off,
Hopefully we figured out a little bit of our issues. We apologize for going away from the game for moments. We're just trying to make sure this feed is at the best quality it can be. These things take a little bit of time. It's our first week streaming. We didn't do it in activation, so this is really where the kinks are going to get worked out. So bear with us on that, but looks like we're doing pretty well here. See, the lineup has changed slightly. The Lion is going to be brought here, so that's going to give them some of that information. I mentioned the EMP grenades. He is bringing them, so we will finally see those being brought out on the side of Lebanon, I think, for the first time. And on the other side, the lineup's pretty much similar, except for this time now the Mozzie's going to be there trying to deny some of that information from the drones, but also maybe that'll help their roam game survive a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of the line. When you look at how that last round went, they shut down roamers, they shut down the positions these players could have, and dodging that C4, gonna make that kitchen a little bit safer to play in. But I'm thinking of that execute. That drop went very, very well. It was risky, but no pain, no gain. The Senate able to get the drop, able to get the plan. A lion scan, while it will alert Murray State that something's happening, that will be able to give you that little bit more cover. Now, they're aware there might be that player above, which they are trying to deal with. And apologies yet again for what you are seeing. We are doing our very best to rectify this, but we'll be guiding you along this journey the very best that we can. Now, they are aware a player is upstairs. This is the big, big problem. This is where Murray State is starting to adapt. And now this Abana's looking very, very uncomfortable, isn't he, Wes?
They are. I mean, why would you not be? You can't get that hatch up, but they can just shoot the pellets off. They can harass you as you try and enter into the building from that angle. So before they were given, it looked like a little more free access, and now they actually have to go above and clear it out, and it's taking way more time. Now, halfway through the round last time, they had gotten the hatch open, and then they were going down for that plant. They had already cleared out the roamer, got the opening kill. Here, we're down to a minute, and no opening kill, and a player is above and harassing them. So this is going to buy way more time, looking way better for MSU on this round.
Definitely. You're looking... We haven't really seen a player drop off so far, and with that, I mean, it only means one thing. Coming down to that 40-second mark, there's going to be a brutal execute at the end of this round. It's going to be a no-hold-barred gunfight. I do want to see this fragging come through. I do want to see these players go for this aggressive push onto site. Now, the big thing is, there's still that player above. They don't have that vertical control. The players are going to have their focus divided. Dual shock with the flanks, able to take away Mr. Davis, take away that player off the board, and in doing so, give your team the advantage. The players over towards kitchen are rattled. The utility goes down. The drop's about to go through, but DNA Plays is waiting, able to find one, make that two. Are you able to find another one? Probably not, because the time's ticking down. These players are going to be rushing in. While you do find one kill, McStuffin's going to catch a second, but it's not enough time. Bravo with the kills, going to give Murray State that win in the round.
Really good round, as you mentioned. Some kills coming through for LVC near the end, but it was just too little too late. Yes, you get 2 kills at the end, but at that point, it's a 2v3, so it's not even a favorable for you, and there's no time. So not much they can do there. It really came on the back of that roam buying so much time, especially harassing them from above, not allowing them to get the access through kitchen that they were looking for. And that comes from adaptability, but also predictability. LVC did not change their game plan. They did not do a full clear. And so they're able to be abused for that predictability on the other side. They read into it really well, played it perfectly.
I'll give a lot of credit for Murray State. They're really playing into this Jackal ban, and I think that's something Lebanon Valley, in terms of adaptation, that's something they might want to adjust. I think that Lion didn't really have the impact they wanted it to. While the potential was there, I feel like this might be better suited with, say, a Gridlock or a Nomad, or even a Zero. Just have somebody get those cameras down, get that little bit of cover. You spend best part of 3 rounds trying to deal with this vertical pressure. Realistically, you want to go with that gravity attack when it comes to knowing there are roamers on the board. If you know there's players there, you have a player pushing main stairs, you have a player pushing that hatch at Logi, you force them out. You do not give them that amount of control, which, like you saw, Wes, was a very, very dominant part of the round and how it played out. LVC, the small things. I mean, I don't want to say it was a bad attacking round. They were able to get that down to that 3 versus 2 situation. It was just the time. It didn't feel as clear-cut. I mean, there was good stuff in there, but it didn't feel refined and polished. It's kind of like an uncut diamond,
It felt, I don't know, it felt a little rushed, perhaps, is the best way to think about it. It didn't feel like, a lot of times you do a full clear for those roamers, at least like kind of like a half. You stick to one side, clear that side. Definitely top floor a little bit needs to be cleared out or droned or something, just so you have the information, and they didn't really do that. So I mean, I don't want to criticize too heavily, right? Like, I get it, it wasn't that bad, all things considered, but again, they went for the same push as before, and it's really just a straightforward push, and it might work once because you catch them off guard. It's fast, right? You get that hatch open, you drop, you go for it, bam. With the flashes, you're covered, and then you get that plant down. It worked the first time, but you can't really rely on that to work a second time. That's not like a full strat. That's like a little pocket strat you might throw out. and catch them off guard, like I said. But I'm not surprised it didn't work the second time because you have to expect a team, especially like MSU, who has won in playoffs in
Mm.
their division 2 seasons in a row. All of last year, they'd won both times. So you got to respect them and think that they're going to be really good at adapting to things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and on the flip side, obviously, we got to play devil's advocate. LVC, they do have that potential. Like you said, they have been able to get promoted through each division, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they went up one division. If teams are all the same,
So,
obviously it's a little hard to
I
know, but
mean, over on this side of the pond, I get a little bit tired, and sometimes the collegiate scene tends to get a little bit fuzzy over towards me. But
Attackers need to
the
locate
point
and
is
defuse as
there.
many bombs as
Lebanon
they
Valley,
can.
they aren't a bad team. They do have that potential. They do have that upwards momentum. And in the worst case scenario, Wes, this is just first week. We didn't do activation. This is the first week where things matter. This is the first week where you're going to want to iron out these things. You're going to want to do exactly what you've done. Use this to improve, know exactly what you have to work on, and start to think what plans to happen. Now, we are going to be returning to the site of CCTV when Murray State were able to claim that first victory, and this is where Lebanon, this is where they want to bring that adaptation. It's something we said, maybe a little bit more careful over towards Garage,
5 seconds
have that second front. I would recommend maybe even playing down below, maybe
Attackers'
bring that
objective
up.
is to
Don't
locate a
give the
bomb and
defenders
defuse
the
it.
comfort that they have.
you have to change something. It was a flawless round on this bomb site. They're bringing the same attackers against the same defenders. Defenders make sense. You had a flawless round. It was great for you. You don't really need to necessarily think too much about changing things up unless you're adapting to new things that you're seeing the other team. So it really is on LVC here to change things up themselves. I mean, obviously it didn't go according to plan. You had Mr. Davis here dying in this position last time. They were a little close to that door, a little too close. Got taken out for it. But they didn't get a single kill. And they got the breach, but it was a vaultable breach. They didn't really get much of a clear in garage. So things have to go differently for them here.
Yeah, it's close, but they just need to get that little bit further. I think if this game continues the way it's going to go, that's what it'll be down to. Two good teams, but the winner's going to be that one that has that little bit extra. Not necessarily a team being bad
Bomb
or
located
worse,
by attacker.
but one team having that little extra pizzazz behind them. Now, looking over towards this site, we do have DualShock here again playing down below. Dragport is opening up, but DualShock, very aware of it, is looking to put the pressure onto the Havana, make it known you have to deal with this player. There are two players covering garage. You can't just waltz in. That's a big power move in my eyes.
I mean, it is. You can at least open up some holes to like make sure that bandit can't rotate back in down below. So that's a good thing for the attackers right there. But you still have to clear that player on Raptors. That's the job at the end of the day. That's the main point of even opening up this hole. So they can use some flashbangs here to try and clear out those ADSs. And then it's really gonna be on Yana. She's the only one with nades. So if they're gonna clear out this player and get the frag,
Attackers have dropped the bomb
the frag grenade itself,
Attackers have
then that's how
recovered
they
the
do it.
diffuser.
Otherwise, they have to just go with the guns, and that's not as easy to do, even with the flashbangs that might be thrown in. And that Raptor can really block those off pretty well. So I would say that the nades are your best bet, and they're not really in a position to utilize those nades. You see Mr. Davis actually on the breach here. So what are they going to do about this Raptor player?
I reckon Iana tries to nade through. Yet again, though, we are seeing Bravo up on Rafters. Now, Plexius takes a bit of damage from DualShock, and obviously will have to focus on that player down below. Nicky Jams, though, is going to be able to find the center, kicking things off frag-wise. 20 seconds left. DualShock's going to pop through. It gets an extra frag, and while the nades come through from Mr. Davis on the breach, it's not going to hit. It's going to slow them down a little bit with 30 seconds left to go. You can't have that, but what you can have is the head of Bravo. 25 seconds to get down in the bottom valley. They have to find that in. They have to find that push.
DualShock getting a double here. It pulls out the pistol to finish it off. It's all on Emporium, and they're in a 1v4. They have the Incandelas to try and make something happen here, and they do get a kill off of it, but there's so little time. They have to just go in and hope the frags are fed to them. It's not. Still ending that round, and it's another victorious round on this bomb site specifically for MSU.
Yeah, I mean, Emporium, it wasn't the greatest situation to be in. You do have to get aggressive in that situation. So, Candelas go through. You get the Rafters player. You don't really have much choice. Big thing I do want to talk about is, yet again, in that garage, we saw that they were trying to get down below. They were trying to deal with those players, but they weren't as focused on Garage as I feel they should have been. They had to move over. They had the Hibana playing down below, but that Hibana then had to deal with Rafters. Didn't have that support from Garage Door, so that the Hibana focuses over towards Lounge. You could deal with the Bandit. They had the player focusing on Bravo, so Dual Shock just pushed through, found that frag, backs up, is able to find a couple more when you retake that Rafters position. In doing so, that left a lot of holes in the lines of Lebanon Valley, and that's where Murray State were able to take that round. They took control. They were able to take away those key parts of the attack. The garage presence, the players on breach, they were taken out pretty quickly. So I think next time we see this site, gotta be a construction side.
Locate and defuse the bomb.
At least in pair, right? At least to get an extra attention from the defenders, so they can't just all focus on that main breach like they have been doing. The other thing, though, is that Bravo actually did die in the Raptors position. They peeked out unwisely onto Mr. Davis, I think, on the breach. That did allow them to try and rotate, but they were just not respecting DualShock on that Bandit, able to retake Garage. They had an opportunity. They just weren't able to capitalize on it. Now, what is it? Still that great of an opportunity? It's still a 3v4, so I mean, it's not an advantage for them. They still had an opportunity, like I said, and it just didn't come to fruition. Now, we'll see what they're able to do on this bomb site. We haven't seen it yet. So the gym bedroom hold is going to be something new for both of these teams. So maybe this is the opportunity Lebanon Valley needs.
Yeah, no, they're going to start in very, very traditional fashion. They're going to be getting that jacuzzi wall open. They have the player over towards logistics. They do not have the mirror windows, but they also do not have the player of Bravo. One we've spoken quite a bit about so far, but that's not going to be the case. Being able to find the kill opens things up. You have a lot more confidence on the side of the attack as Plexios found that frag, and is going to be looking to take the entry. Actually, a very difficult position to push in towards. Noodles gonna back things up.
Bomb located by
get away. Means that Noodles, a little bit emboldened by that situation, does not have the line of sight through the construction wall, but does have the crossfire. After round taken away now, and well, Lebanon Valley, they have a few more steps and a few more hurdles to clear, but they're not out of it yet. The Logi, though, that player needs to take a little bit of pressure because this position is going to be the killer. The one-way angles, the rotation control, it's going to be a tough one as Noodles is going to be looking to get aggressive. Will be pushed out by Emporium, though. He's able to find that frag. Looks for another kill. Not able to find it just yet. Aware that these players might be nearby. DualShock, though, able to find one. And it's just cleaning up. DualShock finding two. Nicky Jam's getting another retreat. Is there for the Senate. You are going to have to put in a lot of work here. Order 66, some might say. And, well, the droning has to come through. You can't really just rush straight in. You have time on the clock. It's a 1v2. You've got to get these players to take 1v1s, Wes.
DualShock's going to go for it, giving him the opportunity to get that first 1v1. Flash comes through. It's going to allow them to actually push in, but there is a bulletproof that should have solved them, but it didn't give the call out. Somehow, though, doesn't get that kill on the DNA, missing a little bit of the shots, and DualShock is there to finish off the round with the 3K being massive for the team. 2 rounds in a row. At the very least, we've seen him also pop up in other rounds. It's just the DNA show here.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Lebanon Valley when they pushed in that construction, that was all going well. It was just MSU decided at that point it was time to strike. They got aggressive. They peeked the windows together. And there was a lack of refrags coming out from Lebanon. They weren't able to be in these positions where they can catch these players off guard. They had a player in cash.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
As soon as this player in construction falls, I'd say that player over towards cash, like Plexios. You want to get aggressive. You want to start putting that pressure over towards construction. Now, I might just be saying, all right, it's the aggression show. In the side of Lebanon Valley, they might be saying, well, we don't want to overstay our welcome. We don't want to get too aggressive. We don't want to give them too much to work with. Unfortunately, that is exactly what happened. Very well played from Murray State. They took out the players. They took out big problem areas. They had that player in CCTV take out Emporium. They had the player on Fuzi. One of them taken off. Very, very well played from them. They played that 1v2 perfectly. To that bottom floor.
Well, the peek out from DualShock. I mean, you get the confidence after those couple of good rounds. Now it's going to be a aggressive, like you mentioned, but even more so, we haven't really seen a spawn pick yet, so that's the first one that we've been able to see the max level of aggression you can really get in this game. They're up 4-1. I mean, even if they drop this round, it's a pretty good half. And then this is a map where you expect a lot of the walls get opened up. We've seen the hatches getting opened up, so it's not as if that's been the problem for the attackers. It's just been the frags, right? A lot of it comes down to a lot of swings of momentum and a lot of frags falling all at once, and not in the favor of Lebanon Valley, unfortunately for them. That's just the way that the game has gone. There's been these massive swing arounds, and it's been on the back of a few flanks even, especially, where they're just getting caught off guard. They might even have a man advantage or something, but then it just falls apart so fast. They're not able to really do anything. It's so late in a round as well. There's no real chance of recovery for them. So if they can clean up just a couple of things, they have shown glimpses of maintaining, or at least having, an advantage. You see the shots from above, and they're going to actually get down. So Plexios, while they are damaged, they've actually gotten that down. Once they're able to confirm that, they'll be able to get this kill. The DualShock will no longer be the menace that they've been these last few rounds.
Now, this is something I'm very, very happy about. We're watching this team of Lebanon Valley. They're starting to make these macro adaptations to the positioning, which has been causing them a lot of problems. I mean, they left that player upstairs last time they were this round. They suffered. Bravo, though, upstairs is going to be playing for the bait, but
a bomb has been located.
Clear is there. They know this player's over towards there. They spot the player over towards the master bedroom. Plexios realizing this is a problem. I've got to get away. Is now going to be a lot safe. The C4 goes out, is unable to find something, but they've realized that means there's only 3 people on site with that player over towards dirt. The Sully can go for the drop. Is able to get this blind down. The players will be rotating back to side. The Sister Canvas goes down. It's too late. DNA players find one. Bravo finds Plexios, but the Senate on site, able to find a kill before they get traded out. The vertical play is still there, but Bravo is still alive. Does have that potential to go to Logi, does have that line of sight. The retake here from Murray State could be lethal.
Oh, McStuffins with the double. That's a huge play from the Lion. Bravo falls, and it's Noodles trying to get the defuse while DNA covers, but the fireball doesn't go through the bars, but it doesn't matter. There's enough time to reposition. Mr. McStuffins does get a 3rd kill now on the round, and Mr. Davis can clean it up on that last player, DNA. It was so close for MSU on the retake, but they're just not quite able to do it. Those last 2 players pulling off the clutch in the 2v4.
Why would you flame that? You saw the guy, you had a gun. I'm nitpicking a little bit, but in my opinion, if that was like a half a second later, that's a defuse. That's a round win. So quite lucky on that one, I've got to be honest. But very, very well played, especially from McStuffins. That flank watch was there over towards that corridor. I feel like MSU, they could have gone fully committed for that vertical play. It's a 2v2 situation. These attackers are focusing on that diffuser. You've got to be fast, but you can make it happen. Even if you just send the 1 player on the retake. Otherwise, you have exactly what we saw. It was just players coming up to the hatch, shot down the round. Very happy that they went for that vertical play, but is it too little too late? We're in that side swap now. Lebanon Valley, they are defending the very site that they've just attacked and won. How are they going to play this compared to how they would have attacked it? I mean, obviously, bringing out that balcony upgrade we haven't seen so far.
Weird fight up, right? Powerful op. That's so much information it can be fed to you. Another op we haven't really seen is the Goyle. That's some fire canisters that can be placed down. They burn for quite a bit, have a decent radius as well. So that's going to be a time burner right there for the side of Lebanon Valley. That could play a huge factor later in a round, especially. The other thing that we haven't seen is someone that has been banned many times in Pro League in recent memory, and maybe even more so now, is going to be that knock. You rely so much on information on those belt cams that we were just talking about. Knock isn't seen on those cams, so that could be the dagger that MSU needs. Now, we're going to be nitpicky about something. Just to go back to the last round real quick, they could have played the 4v2 better in the defense. I just want to say it because it's a learning thing right now, and I just want to be a little educational about it. They had that player of the alibi, and that was DualShock. They have a shotgun pistol. They could have actually gone above the hatch where those players would have been holding on above the hatch to try and stop that defuse, and they could have, kind of double agent them and had a vertical on a vertical. But Imperium's going to get that opening kill onto DualShock, the one that we've been, talking a lot about. But they did get the hatch open, so they've at least done their job before they die.
Yeah, and they do still have that thermite on the boards. They are able to go over towards Moto or Stock and get those hatchets. Now, Something we haven't really seen on this attack is that third dimension. Now, Plexios is able to find Bravo, will find another player to be added to the hatch. Opens the hatch, the verticality is there. You can look towards stop. But this is what I wanted to see. Murray State, they have that extension. They're looking towards blue. They're not looking at just dropping the hatch and controlling the main stairs. They want that second angle. They want that overlapping field of fire. This is starting to line up as a very good game plan for Murray State. The execution, though, I'm not as confident about at the moment. 3 players on the board compared to Lebanon's 5. They know these players are there. C4's going to go out, but they're on top of the desk. So you have to wait for the drop. They know that they're down below. C4 going to rush up, isn't going to be able to find a kill. Suddenly, that's going to be like a dinner bell at that 1 minute mark. The knock walking down the stairs. Realizes he'll trigger something, will give away the position. Well, you know, you've got a couple of nades. You can, or EMPs, sorry. You could hit that utility. You could go for the push. You could get that triple wall open. That is what's going to be taking place with the Senate. Holding the long corridor rather than pushing up to the ash wall. Isn't going to be able to take out the thermite. Officer Goyo shield, Mr. Davis will go close for the kills, able to find it. Takes away Noodles, takes away the chance of a push as DNO gets felled as well. And with Plexios able to find that second kill, Nicky Jams is in a little bit of a jam.
It's one, but there's a lot more that needs to be found and not a lot of time to do it. 20 seconds remaining in this round for Nicky Jams on that knock. The play did not pay off. I don't think they're going to be able to win this one out. Not trying to be offensive here, but that's just not enough time, you know. Even if they could get these kills, it's just they can't do it. No time. So McStuffin shuts down the round, but the real problem there was losing bodies early for MSU. They were going to be in a huge disadvantage from that point on. You mentioned the EMP grenades at the end there. They could have thrown those into some of the wubs, the Malusi Banshees that were lying around the bottom of main stairs there. But even if they did that, you know, there's just not a lot they could do. They would have had to pair it with a drop through that hatchet kitchen, which isn't the greatest crossfire. So at that point in time, they had already lost the round. It really happened early on where they had been in such a deficit. They didn't clear out the roamers fully. Things did not go according to plans. It looked like they had a decent idea strategically, right? Let's get the hatches open. Got the right utility. We even got the main hatch open in the kitchen, but from there, it just cascaded against them.
Yeah, I feel like that's where something we're going to see quite a bit in the teams as we still kind of feel out where teams are kind of sitting on that leaderboard is what teams are going to have that little bit extra edge, that little bit more coordination. I mean, the best way I've heard it described is a lot of teams, they know how to get from A to B. They know how to get to that situation where they're starting to hatch, they want to get hatches open, they have to go through all these drone clears. But when it comes to getting hatches open and getting ready for that execute, a lot of teams start to trip up. I feel like that's an issue Murray State has. It's going to be one they're going to want to rectify very, very quickly, though, because yes, you do have that advantage, but now Lebanon Valley, they've closed up within 1 round. You've got to be in the driving seat on that tank. You've got to be getting aggressive with this, and Dual Shock 4 is going to be listed. See you right time. We'll start the Matrix off the wall. Fortunately, though, isn't going to be able to hit it. We'll be relying on Bravo to get that cover over towards Red. Don't able to find the field just so far, but the important part's done. The utility has been got onto the wall. The distraction has been done. Now, Murray State, 40 seconds off the clock, they can look towards that second line of attack. The question is, though, are they going to? Where is it going to be? Are they going to be able to find that entry pick? Well, we're about to find out.
Well, the double ADS Wamai combo, right? Where you're so used to it, that player Wamai is going to be in the rafters. They did take away the 1.5 on the MP5Ks, both on mute and on Wamai. So if you're wondering why maybe you're going to see the AUG played a little bit more on Wamai, well, it does more damage and they have the same scope now. You might as well. And the damage drop off, like we mentioned, that being on the silencer. So you'll see silencer here, and that is exactly what we're seeing from the Wamai. So just to give a little information on why you might be seeing things a little bit different than what might have been the old standard. Emporium, though, is going to take a lot of damage. Half their health is gone. They're still alive, though, so they have that power position of Raptors. Plexios, though, it is given away by their phone calls. The Senate is also going to be down at the top of main. That's a power position. If they're aware of this, they could push up, but it doesn't look like they are. So Murray State not going to capitalize on some of these positions, and actually Emporium is going to get the opening kill on the Bravo, despite the down and the damage on those 2 players.
Now, I'm very excited about Plexios actually being alive, because like you said, that Docker Be Cool did give them away. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is something we spoke about. They know they've got to deal with this player down below. They know they have to deal with this roamer. It's something Murray State took advantage of a number of times. So why don't Lebanon Valley do exactly the same thing? Well, they are. They have that roamer down below. They have that MX Storm. Able to find that pick. Will take dual shock 4 off the board over towards Garage. And also, you're going to have a difficult time pushing. You do have the shield to take the gunfight on, but they work both ways. Now you are going to see them getting aggressive. Lexios down below with that shotgun, going to look for that kill. It's on the plan. Isn't going to be able to do it, but it gives Emporium enough time to get over, get that organ, get that frag, and take out that planter. DNA Plays does have an answer, but time ticking down. Plexios on the hunt. Smoke grenade goes through and gets another. Lebanon Valley, a very decisive round to start off their defensive side.
Yeah, that is going to even it up as well. 2 in a row. They have to go to that third site, probably be gym bedroom, and maybe we'll see bar. Doubtful, but it would be fun. But you're right, 2 dominant rounds in a row. It's interesting because we saw some good plays from MSU. They seem to have that control, and now that the sides have flipped, they look a little lost on these attacks. They don't seem to know exactly what they want to do. They're pushing from a lot of different angles, which is different than Lebanon Valley's attacks. I'll give them that, right? You did see some players actually pushing below, getting some damage on the player on main stairs, downing them. But a similar problem did occur for both teams, which is that Raptors player. Both teams seem to struggle when it comes to clearing out Raj. And if you're going to go for a main breach take, that is a position you cannot afford to leave in the hands of the defenders. So, like you mentioned, you really need to start maybe optimizing the push by at least pairing it, if not going for a direct execute through the construction area.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you would look towards it for both teams, say, well, you want to refine the garage,
10 seconds
or you
left.
want to look towards construction and maybe a combination of the two. Entirely up to you.
5
However you
seconds
want to do it, it's got to be done though. Now, gym bedroom, we're seeing a pretty standard setup.
Attackers'
We are
objective
seeing
is
that
to defuse a bomb.
construction being used as a deadly line of sight. The line of sight all the way to master bedrooms been opened up with construction. You got some nice crossfires coming through on here. While you don't have the mirror windows to play behind, you do have that Valkyrie to bring the information in roughly the similar situations, similar positions that these mirror windows would be in. You've got one over towards construction. You've most likely got one over towards jacuzzi side. I feel like Murray State, they've got a big ass. They've got to bring the momentum back now. They've been broken even, but they do not have an advantage anymore.
Rotation of the shield, but that is a pretty common spot for it to be placed down at the top of the main stairs there. They're doing the classic extension out into the cache room. We see a player on the rappel of Jacuzzi, and feed interrupted for a moment there, but you do see that is dual shock on the Twitch staff too. Still shreds, you know, you have the 1.5 on it, so it's a decent scope. So they're just gonna be sitting here, I think, just kind of buying the time now that the wall has been opened up, waiting for the rest of the push to get going. And they have to really decide how they want to take this. They either have to clear out those players in cache and start pushing through there, or they have to do kind of like a hot drop down through the hatch of Lodge. You maybe pair it with a jump in through one of the windows, either in the gym or bedroom, depending on how they want to do it, how desperate they get. The ideal thing to do really is clearing out that player in cache, and I just haven't seen them do too much over there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like construction, that's the big thing with this defensive setup. I mean, it's structured like a cake. You know, you gotta have a layer cake. You go from the top to the bottom. Every single stage is something Lebanon Valley have prepared for from most states, they are going to be prepared for this push in construction. They're going to be ready for Jacuzzi. There are plans for it. There's rotation plans. There's fallback plans. And right now, there's going to be a very aggressive move, taking quite a bit of damage, not doing so much, but making it aware that this player with the SMG-11, the shock of the C4 is there. Bravo, though, playing down below, might have a very powerful presence. The IQ scanner as well. And with that knock, getting that jammer up, the presence on the windows, they might be trying to sneak up those main stairs. They might be trying to get in close. But so far, they're just going to be taking their time, getting that little control, maybe do a bit of updating. Time ticking down, though. They've really got to have a player rage go in for that push. Now, a bit of damage will be done onto the Senate, but it's the C4 is going to have a big answer. Noodles taken off the board. The diffuser taken away as well. Nobody nearby to pick it up, and Mr. Davis will be able to compound that advantage. Picks up another kill. 20 seconds down on the clock. This just got a lot harder for Murray State. Nicky Jams will find 1 kill, but will you find another 4? Or the diffuser? No, McStuffins is there to find that player. And as we see the DNA go down, McStuffins is going to close things out.
The round went about what you'd expect with what had happened earlier on. And what I mean by that is that they didn't clear out, and I had pointed this out earlier, they did not attempt to really push on cash. The only time you saw it was that knock very late getting the kill, right? By that time, it's way too late. And my question really is, and this is as someone who I coach too. I'm a fan of the game. So I say this with no malice, right? I simply wonder, that's one of those things that you want to train out.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
You cannot let them waste that much time. They needed to make a decision. They needed to go and know what the job was, what was the next step in the process. They looked like they had no idea. We saw people standing outside, throwing in a smoke deep. Where was the coordination? I just saw a lot of people sitting outside on the highway, opening up those windows. But it just was way too late. They just burned so much time. Half of the round, the jacuzzi wall was open, and then they didn't do anything. They have to make decisions and actually start moving together. Otherwise, they're just sitting around wasting time. And then they have to go for those last-ditch efforts at the end of the round like we just saw.
And that's where you'd be looking towards your IGL and maybe some of your support players, shot callers, to start really trying to wind the team in and just at the start of the round say, okay, they're here. They have these possible players playing these possible positions. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to Logi. We're going to go over towards cash. We're going to clear it out. Then we move towards construction. Then we move towards the site. Then the window players and jacuzzi players push through. But you've got to look at it in a different light now because it's a different round. Lebanon Volley, for the first time in this game, have taken the lead, and DualShock is very much not happy about that. Will be jumping in, will be trying to deal with these roamers. Very much aware that with this vertical play, you've got to take out this top floor plays. It's something that team relied upon on their defense. And in my experience, a team that will do something in their defense will have a counter for it. Emporium, though, will be able to kick things off, finds that first kill for us, and takes Bravo off the board. The sledge taken away, the naze, the sledgehammer, the beautiful weapon of the LED5. Lebanon Valley, they have prepared for this roam clear, and Plexios, though, isn't going to be able to find that kill.
Really good shot from Nicky Jams. Oh, the DK DualShock. What are you doing? Oh, man, that hurts a lot because they had just evened it up, and now man advantage is back in Lebanon's favor. Even though they did nothing to earn it, it was simply a misplay from Murray State. And now they're in a 3v4. It's not a great position. That's some vertical play that could have been opened up with some of those destructive capabilities that Nicky Jams had in their pocket with all the gadgetry that Sophia has. Emporium now is also going to only have to face one opponent, which is DualShock. So, and are they checking on the corners? Where's the drone work? No one's droning for them. They at least have the refrag, so the buddy system does pay off their DNA, getting that refrag onto Emporium. But still, had a drone come through, that wasn't a body that necessarily needed to be sacrificed. You see, DNA does have a drone in pocket. Noodles has a drone in pocket, so they could have been utilizing it. There's no rush here. There's still over a minute remaining. They're just playing, I think, a little bit desperate right now, where it's not actually needed.
Well, for the defenders, there's definitely no rush. I mean, you've just got to sit pretty. You've got the player advantage. The times to get down quite neatly. They don't have any clear entryway onto site. They do have that presence over towards blue, but they are gonna have to deal with the generator player. There's a good positioning coming through from Lebanon. They have a player AK, they have a player triple wall, they have a player blue. They've got the crossfire, and now Mr. Davis will that job. And Melusi Banshee will be called out, and you will have McStuffins covering that angle. The DNA player is going to have a very difficult time, but Noodles, though, is going to be able to make life a little bit easier as DNA plays finds McStuffins. They might be able to win it back on gunplay alone now. The Senate, the last player left on the board, the Vector with the C4 in pocket. This round's by no means won. Time's ticking down, the plant has to go. But they've got to go through that moto, or they've got to go through the line of sight one way or another. The damage gets done, the player pulls back, the plant doesn't go down. DNA goes in, find the refrag as the plant starts, and there you go, you get the Senate in blue. A very desperate feeling play towards the end of that round, but they were able to close it down, and in a situation like MSU, where you're just trying to break even, that is exactly what you want. The alternative match point going in favor of the defenders.
Overcoming adversity, that's for sure. I'll say that. DNA and Noodles clutching out a round that looked pretty dire after their teammates had fallen earlier on. You had a TK that did not help you, but they still maintained composure. I'd criticize them a little bit mid-round there, but
Attackers
they
need to locate and
proved me
defuse
wrong a little
bombs.
bit. They weren't looking so desperate near the end. They calmed down, collected, and decided they're going to move as a unit. And they isolated the different angles. That was great. They had utilized the open angle on Church Wall that had been available to them. Mr. Davis had moved away, being distracted by the Moto player. You allow then that player, the teammate, I believe it would have been Noodles, to peek through while his teammate DNA had pushed through Moto. They had two different angles being opened up. They win the 1v1s that were necessary, and then from there on, they're able to finish off that last player. So really great job in how to compose yourself and just take on smart, high probability angles, knowing where those positions are going to be for the defenders.
5
Yeah,
seconds
I mean,
to insertion.
looking towards it, I feel Murray State so far, they've been a little bit
Attackers
disjointed
must
towards the
locate and
attacking
defuse the
side. Their
bomb.
defense has been very, very well coordinated. At the end there, yeah, Murray State was a little bit desperate, but they kept in mind those core values. Have that refrag, you have those players
Attackers drop the
playing
diffuser.
together, and most importantly, you have that aim sense. You realize this player's over towards here. Okay, this is most likely the play he's going to take. He's going to move towards blue. He's going to try and play this. Much better round coming through from Murray State, if only at
Bomb
the
has
end.
been located.
Can they do it again? Well, with the mute jammer going some serious kick things off very, very quickly.
Attackers have located
Not
a bomb.
something that's really been that big a thing recently in comp is that wall. You know, I mean,
It's a gimme.
it used to be a round was dependent on whether the wall got opened up within the first 2 minutes or so. Now, it gets opened up. It might do, it might not. Who really minds? That wall's been opened up, and a very big
Attackers
difference.
recovered the bomb diffuser.
Flip side, when Lebanon Valley were attacking, is it's not multiple.
Loading new mag.
And it messed up the position of where to put
Attackers
that
dropped the bomb
charge just a little bit better, right? But it's not the end of the world either way, because as you mentioned, that wall, even though it's opened up, it's nowadays not so important. You expect it. So what are you going to do
Attackers
with
have
it?
recovered their
That's what
diffuser.
matters. It's like where you're going to pair with it. Now, Plexios has been so massive on this alibi. They've been getting opening kills a lot, but they've also just been getting multi-frag rounds. And well, they're starting off with one here, but still, it's a massive one. It's on to that Maverick. It's on to Dual Shock as well, player we've talked about. Been a little quieter on this half, but still has 9 kills to their name, tied for the most on the side of MSU. So you're not going to like losing top fragger like that. And the other thing now you have to pay attention to is time. We're down just a little bit over a minute, and they're just now starting to push with the Oza. They do not have garage control. They do not have much control over construction or anywhere else. So this is looking like a desperate push.
Yeah, but well, Murray State, they do have the potential, as they reminded us, to make it happen. Like you say, though, this garage is going to be a bit of a problem. This Osa is going to have to cover a couple of angles without any support, and doing so well. You've just got to try and take a couple. My Noodles, though, will start to put the pressure over towards construction. Just makes them aware that that play is there. Bravo as well. Claymore goes down, and suddenly, okay, Plexios is going to worry about something. Takes out the drone, has to be ready to deal with the player of the IQ. But isn't going to have that gunfight just yet. More importantly, though, you have these players up above and playing the windows, they're playing the construction angles, they're pushing into side. And while that Raptors player is there, it's going to be very, very difficult as Nicky jams, opens things up, Emporium taken away to send it down as well. The plane can start to go down. But if there is the player down below, the IQ will deal with it. Bravo, though, going to start clearing things up. Plexios gets one, immediately traded out. Mr. Davis finds Noodles, and that's going to be Murray State able to find it out with that pistol. Very, very huge improvements coming through from the side of MSU Gold here.
It was a good round from them. I'm not going to take that away, but also Lebanon weren't able to lock down the angles that they had wanted. The plant being allowed to come through, they had been able to rush through and weren't shut down going through that breach. There was no smoke to protect them. They just missed the timing. The garage player, wasn't able to lock it down as well as you'd probably hope there. So just a few things not going on their favor, which allowed Murray State to capitalize. And I'm not going to take anything away from them. They took advantage. It was a little bit of a desperate push, but they made it work. So good job from them. Now they get to put themselves back in control. They were down a little bit. Now they're ahead once more, and they are on the first map point.
Yeah, and could be closing things down at Settlement of Oregon very, very quickly. Now, looking back towards this bottom floor side, Lebanon Valley did take it very, very well. Top floor hold was going very well. They were able to take away 3 players straight away. They weren't able to win out that whole round, but their road play was done very, very well. They had frag potential. More importantly, though, I feel Murray State, they tried to get a little bit ahead of themselves. They
5
tried to go
seconds
in
left
guns
before
blazing.
insertion. Bomb
They've
located
reeled
by
that in a bit.
attackers.
They've taken away that Ash. They've brought the Yana.
Attackers'
They've got
objective
Sophia.
is to
So
defuse a bomb.
the potential's still
Bomb
there.
diffuser has been dropped.
But they're going to be a lot more
Attackers recovered
careful.
the
Bringing that
diffuser.
Yana, bringing that Gemini means, okay, well, we're going to push it. We're going to be aggressive with this operator. But we're not going to be stupid. We're not going to give things away like we did before. Now, mostly, well, obviously, they've just got to live up to it. If they can, well, that's a wonderful thing. Player upstairs on the roam will be spotted out, will be checked out by DualShock, leading the charge with the
Attackers
diffuser.
dropped the
Can't
bomb
say I'm the
diffuser.
biggest fan of that, but, well, it is what it is. We'll be dropping the diffuser. Nicky Jam's Professor comes through. Something I actually really like and want to talk a little bit about with roamers. Having a suppressor can cause a lot of problems. It doesn't give you that visual clue of where these players are. But at the moment, we're not going to see any use of it. Lebanon Valley, they've pulled back, they've turtled down, they've said, well, we've made them waste a lot of time last time. Let's just make them assume they have to do it again.
We do have a player over here in strip. This is the only real roamer.
Attackers
This
have
is an
recovered their
isolated
diffuser.
position, so if they can become aware of it, if they do get a good drone that just happens to catch that player is pretty much dead to rights as long as they just lock out the rotation through either the billiards or the bathroom rotates. But either way, there's the drone. It went through. I don't think it has seen them just yet. And then there's a second one. Did they see him? This is the telling tale. If they do not find this player, then that's a huge backstab potential in the future. He did shoot the drone, so they are checking and notice that they are missing a drone, and they are. They're very aware of his position. So if they can get him killed here in the next 20 seconds before we hit a minute, then they're doing their job of clearing out the roamers, and they can start getting up those hatches.
Yeah, and then the side of Flexio as well. This is the position where you need to be staying alive. You need to be wasting this time. If you get a kill, then wonderful. That's amazing. Your job is to waste time. You are going to be falling out of this position. You will not make it out alive unless something beautiful happens. Now, the question is, how much time? How many plays can you take with you? Know about the ace, but you don't know where the player is. The call goes out. That peek's going to go. Ziana goes to the flank. Nicky Jam's able to find McStuffins, maybe giving a little bit of help, pushing aside. But that's going to be Plexio's taken down. 45 seconds left on the clock and 2 players over towards Strip Club. That means they're going to have to rotate. They're going to have to deal with utility. But, Nicky Jams and Lord Blue opened up something huge for the attacking side. Now, we're going over towards Mr. Davis, a difficult position to be in. Emporium has to rotate, give a little bit of cover just to give them that hand. Make sure nobody pushes. When the Moto drop, well, now Nicky Jams and DualShock has started a push. Mr. Davis takes that choice over towards that Moto area, but gets taken down. But the Sunup watches the player go through, doesn't land the kill, doesn't even use the C4. That's going to be the Sophia kept inside of Blue. The push hasn't come through. No
5
plants
seconds
are
to
taking
go.
place until I say those words and pass first. Jams off the board, all the players over towards Master
Attackers
side,
are activating
and they're going to be
the
taken down. Bravo coming Emporium. Senate will have a refrag, but yet again, it's Goyo in about 1 versus 2.
He gets another. It's a triple on the round. The Senate, the 1v1. He can bring us to overtime. Needles has to clutch out here. Has to hold on to the advantage they've gained in this round. 20 seconds to buy, and then that will be it. There will not be enough time for the defuse. Can he catch this player in the rotate? He does. Noodles. He wins it all for him on map 1. Murray State coming out just in time in regulation, 7-5.
Yeah, very, very well played from them. Bit shaky in the middle, yeah, but ultimately I feel like you were able to close it down quite nicely, actually. I mean, I had a little bit of doubt. Lebanon Valley, they had that resurgence on this map, but at the end of the day, MSU, they closed things down. They were able to bring it back in their favor, and I think it was just maybe getting that stability in where you stand in a round. I mean, let's be honest, some of these players are a bit newer, and playing a whole competitive game, knowing you've still got 1, possibly 2 more maps to go through, can be a little bit daunting. So I feel like it might have just been a little bit of fatigue or maybe even stress, aware of what you've got to go through. But they closed it down. They said, okay, well, where are we going wrong? Let's coordinate just a little bit more. Like you said, use the word the desperate push a few times, but there's a point where I think it stops being a bit desperate and is a bit more well coordinated with the push. They're aware of the time and they're kind of using that.
I guess when I say desperate, I more mean like this isn't the plan, right? This is just like
Yeah.
last ditch effort. It can be coordinated, but it
Oh,
certainly
yeah.
isn't ideal, right? So, I mean, that's what I was more pointing out is they just didn't put themselves in the positions that they would normally want to be in. Like their
Mm,
plan A didn't work out. Maybe even their plan B didn't work out. Here's plan C. It's not the highest probability, but
yeah.
they made it work. We're gonna go to a short break. We'll be back with that second map in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome back in. This is NECC. I am Wheelco, joined by McCready, and we have just seen the first map go 7-5 in favor of MSU versus Lebanon Valley, and it was in favor of MSU, just to clarify what I meant by that. But we are going to be going on to the second map here, if we're good.
Yeah, we're going to be moving over towards Oregon now. Clubhouse and Oregon, they've had that kind of relationship of the two maps that are kind of those default bastions of T4 Siege. They're very, very heavily played, at least, and have been for the past couple of years. And with good reason, though. You have to be honest, there is a reason why the default things are default. Now, these are maps that do rely on the basics. They rely on more basic holds and more basic attacks. I don't say that as an insult. I say that as this is basic. Everything else has been pretty much tried out. If you're going to try something across the board, it must be because of a meta change, or you've really put in some time looking at very more specific things. But I digress. Looking towards that last map, what we saw from Murray State Gold was a very, very well-oiled machine in terms of mechanics and plan. But when it came down to some of the executes and some of the finer positioning and some of the finer support work, that's, I feel, a position that they start to fall a little bit on. So moving to Oregon, the big question for me is how's that going to translate?
And the big thing for me is that and Clubhouse, which I mean, we talked about this a little bit in the break, but on CC, it's an easier attacking site normally. It has a horrible defense win rate, and yet now we're on a map that has better defensive sites. So if you're already struggling on attack, both teams really, because they didn't clear out garage, they didn't try and get anything going through construction into the cash room. So if they don't do those things, like what are they going to do on these bomb sites that are notoriously more difficult to attack, top floor and basement specifically on this map? What are they going to do if they're already struggling on bomb sites that would normally be considered a little easier than these ones? So that's the advantage for MSU as well. This is not their map choice, so they got to choose which side. They're starting on the defense, so they actually should have a little bit more of an advantage at least at the start of this game. So now Lebanon Valley, you chose this map. I hope that the attacks look a little bit more coordinated, that they do clear out more key positions that they were leaving alone last time.
Yeah, and I feel like a big thing that we talked about in Clubhouse is the fact that we didn't see much kind of double-sided attacks. We did towards the end from MSU, and they started to pick things up and drive us home towards that victory, but mostly throughout the game, it wasn't really there. Now, this is a map that really, really requires it. You look towards that bottom floor, you look towards that top floor, you don't really have much other option than to go and push these defenders into difficult positions by getting these crossfires. So I'm expecting to see a bit of window play, but Lebanon Valley, if you're able to get these crossfires up early on, I'll be very happy with, putting my backing you when it comes to who's going to pick up this map. But I've got to see that very quickly, and I've got to see it very well rehearsed and very well drilled, which is something that I'm not entirely convinced of at the moment. Now, like I say, though, this is obviously the start of the season. There is a long way for these teams to go, and that direction is only going to be up. So this is by no means criticism. This is, well, it is, but this is more feedback to improve, maybe take on board. And as we jump into our game, we will see exactly what we're going to be breaking down. Jumping into Oregon, LVC going to be going on to the attack first again, and Murray State Gold going to be leading us through the defensive bands.
And we've talked about this a little bit last map. Like, what are going to be those standard bans now? We don't really know. We did see Thatcher taken off by the attackers last map, but again, was it really that important? No. Jackal seems to be a huge one, and it makes sense. He is still really strong. Like, he's going to give away those positions of the defenders. You're going to be wanting some roam game on most maps. Last map, we saw the roam game have huge impacts. You saw the alibi on both teams popping off. Here, again, you're going to expect them to have some roamers. There's a lot of staircases to utilize. They're going to take out that Osa shield, though. So that's going to make it more limited for these attackers. We did see that Murray State did like to bring that. So Lebanon taking that out early.
I mean, I don't feel like we really saw the full potential of the Osa shields, but it was something that Lebanon kind of looked at, and I feel like it did have that kind of psychological effect of, well, she's carrying a shield around, but she's also got guns and smokes, so this might be difficult to deal with. The defensive side, not going to see any difference in the bans other than them just flipping as to who banned it. I mean, this, yet again, both of these bans make a lot of sense. While you do have those EMPs on the board, neither team really used them that much. But more importantly, these operators have huge impact on the sites we're talking about. Think of that bottom floor. Think of electrical box, a cave claw, a mirror window. It's a recipe for disaster for any attacking team. So Lebanon Valley, they want to clear both of
Attackers
those
need to
options off
locate and
very
defuse as many
quickly.
bombs as they can.
Murray State going to opt to start upstairs. We had talked about how both the sides are strong with the basement and on the top floor. They're going to the top floor. It really is team dependent. You know, can't really say one is necessarily that much better than the other. So teams seem to have a favor one more than the other. So in their case here, it's arbitrary, but they want to go up here. The lineup is something that we've seen a lot of, right? We have seen this for both teams, really. We see the LVC being brought quite a bit. We see the smoke and mute combo. We see the Aruni, especially from MSU, being brought. And then, of course, dual shock is going to be on that Jaeger. You have to have some form of denial for the projectiles. So
5 seconds to go.
Yeah.
now, an operator that I do like seeing brought by Plexios is going to be that now. I
Attackers are
feel like
pushing out to locate a bomb
that
and
we saw them being played a little bit more later in the first map, and I do think it can have some pretty big impacts. You know, teams do rely on that information game of the cameras, so if you can circumvent that, you know, there could be a dagger in the side of any round.
Yeah, it's a very relieving sight for me because we're only just talking about having that extra tip to the spear, having that extra prong in the attack, and the knock is perfect for that role. Now, the knock are going through midi tower and sneak their way to right side. When the push is going through, the fog of war is completely there. I do not know why I'm struggling, because Plexios is not struggling to get inside. This can cause a lot of problems. Now, Zafia is putting pressure over towards that classroom alongside Sledge. Plexios just has to play it carefully. Don't be caught by these cameras. If you know where the cameras are, it's a very simple game to use this knock device. And you do have those frag grenades that you can use from down below. You also, if you have a ping, are able to take out dual shock. But that's not going to happen.
Located by
You don't want to
attackers.
give away your position so far. Kitchen, a very good position. You can upnade, you can go to white stairs, you can go all the way over the tower, and most importantly, you can find the opening. And Jaeger ADS is not going to stop nades going through that floor.
Plexios had a massive game. They lost last map, but Plexios I think had 10 kills at least. So double digits, massive. Now they've got the opening kill just to help Lebanon have a little bit of an advantage. It's only halfway through this round, so they've already done a pretty good job. You hear the wall being opened up, that is the closet into the main bedroom. So that's the main breach opened up. But we have, been a little critical. Are they going to pair this with something else? Now, Plexios is in a good position to pivot through Z here and go up white at some point. Looks like he's just watching out for that flank, but that would be something to pair it with. And there is the Jaeger of dual shock coming through and engaging the of them falling. But on the other side of the map, Bravo gets a kill onto Mr. Davis TV, evening things up, and we're just elapsing.
Now, this is the crossfire that we were talking about. Emporium able to find the kill on Bravo. As another frag will be landing and taking out that defusing player. Plexios still down below. Well, that Jaeger has been kickstarted into action by the death of the players. Now, Armory's open up, but Murray State, they have a very good sense of where the attack is coming from. There is no second front. There is no pressure being placed on the state from another angle. All players are going to be focusing over towards this side, and Nicky Jam staying alive is going to be a big problem. Dual shock is going to get taken down by Plexios, so playing on the breach, the DNA, it's going to be very difficult. Finds one, able to find the other. No, they're not. Plexios bringing it down to that 2 versus 1. But Nicky Jams has that refrag. 15 seconds left. The plank can start to go down, but you've got to go through. You've got to push through. You've got to take the gunfight, and all has to do is play it safe to go.
Oh, you missed the shot!
Plexios gets it. Takes that first round. Lebanon Valley somehow able to claw that out from certain defeat, honestly.
Plexios is thanking his lucky stars because, it was a nice flick at the end there. But Nicky Jams just shot the metal frame of the bed there and just wasn't able to connect any of those shots. And you can swing out stuff, some bullets in the chamber, but the sound cue had already given your position away. And Plexios, with how hot they've had the hand here so far from map 1, map 2, they're starting off with 4K to win the round for Lebanon to start things off.
Well, that was something to watch, but Murray State is actually at top floor. A lot of things went very well for them, actually. You've got to give them a lot of credit. They had a lot of crossfires. They were able to slow down Lebanon Valley. Lebanon Valley, they have those two picks. They were able to push up those guys, but that's when Murray State had that crossfire set up. They had that player over towards Armory. They had the players looking at it from the attic side and all the way from that bunks. There were a lot of positives in that situation, and it really took a lot from Lebanon Valley to bring it back.
Attackers
I
are
mean,
moving out to locate a bomb and defuse
simply
it.
looking at it, that round
Changing mags.
could have ended over towards that Armory, that trophy side, and it would not have been in favor of the attack this time. However, that's not the situation. Now, one thing they do have is something our wonderful observers pointed out. Dual Shock playing towards Mini Tower is going to be ready for this present. Murray State are aware that this not pushed in, and Plexios getting that 4K last round and the win, you're not going to risk
no.
that at all.
He doesn't. Did he hear? It sounded like maybe a sound.
Still on the camera, he knows. Yep, and that is the audio and the visual cue. Give it away. Dual Shock will be escaping, will not be taken down. But Lebanon Valley, you know that player's there. Do you have to worry about that player down below? And suddenly Plexios don't feel as comfortable on that attack. Oh, but finding the kill, that's gonna be a good feeling.
They predicted exactly where that player was going to move. Dual Shock is probably shocked themselves. Like, what? I thought I escaped here. But you did shoot back at them and tell them you were a little bit of a lag. You didn't run straight back. You had wanted to contest a little bit longer. That allows them to know that you're going to be a little bit closer than if you had just sprinted fully away. They're going to just take the shots through the window, take the risk, and it pays off. So really good job. Plexios now, that's 2 opening kills in a row. Start off this map. So Lebanon Valley, they're starting to show us that they have capabilities getting those opening frags. A little bit more than we had saw in the first map. But Nicky Jams is going to get the refrag on Miss Davis. He's been a little quieter. That is the nades gone. There's only 1 left now on Plexios. He's already used 1. So if they want to, get cheeky and find out some of these positions nade from below, they only have 1 shot to do it.
Yeah, but they still do have that Roma to deal with, so that's going to be a very difficult task, in my opinion. I don't think if you are on the side of Lebanon Valley, that's going to be the play. However, Plexios may decide otherwise. Flank watch, though, very, very important. Something we talked about on the clubhouse, something that's going to be very important now. The plane down below, you're not looking.
No.
You're not able to find a kill as Bravo is able to find another one. Advantage firmly in favor of Murray State with 1 minute left. Time ticking down, but something has to make something happen, as does Emporium. It's not going to happen, though, and Murray State, very, very carefully, very, very precisely, were able to show us just what that first round could have been.
A lot better from them. The positioning better, the flanking working out this time. I thought, like you had mentioned, it looked like Plexios almost was like watching because he was aware, like there's a cam feeding information over the flank. Apparently not, though, because he immediately looks up above him and looks away from where that flank was coming from. So the siege timing,
We know Plexios isn't war.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
now we
many
do.
bombs.
Unless,
You got Silver Line again.
And it seemed like he was with that kill early on to open up the round through the window. I was wondering, like, whoa, what the heck? That was insane. But like you mentioned, that death there, unfortunate, but it does give us at least a little reassurance into the quality of the game. But we're going to be moving on to that second bomb site now that Murray State has officially won above after attempting it a few times now. And we'll see what they bring here. It looks like a very similar lineup. This is going to be a little bit of a change, and that's going to be bringing the Wamai and Perroquet Jaeger. And that's because you want that smoke shield and elbow to survive. So this is just a very basic standard
5 seconds to go.
Something I really enjoy about the collegiate scene is you don't
Attackers' objective is
really.
to locate a bomb and defuse it.
You always have those players that you don't know. They aren't that good. They could be cheating. Obviously, they aren't. We do have loss. We do have ways to deal with that. But obviously, there's players that always cast a few doubts, so to speak. But Lebanon Valley, they are looking a little bit aggressive. They're looking for a rush, and I think they are going to have Plexios pushing it on another flank. While the whole team is distracted, that shield's going to be leading the charge. Unable to find out first kill, and McSuffins is there to capitalize on it. 3 seconds off the round already. 2 players taken off the board. Now Murray State, they're going to have time to adapt. That's exactly what they're going to do. Noodles finding Mr. Davis. Plexios will have that flank. Will have that kill. Make that 2. That's a huge flank going out Freezer. And suddenly Emporium comes back up with the player on the north stairs.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
So the North player taking their time. Noodles doesn't want to give anything away, but that drone is going to be there. So you take the vertical play, you regroup with Bravo, and what could have been a very aggressive rush is going to get the plant down. Will it get the round, though? That's the big question. Lebanon
Attackers
Valley,
are activating the bomb
they just need to
diffuser.
hold it safe. They have all the crossfires they need. I'd personally just rotate Zafir down towards that 90 corner.
Gonna have to pair up here. You see that the player of Jaeger, that's gonna be Bravo, waiting for the teammate to get there in time. They don't want to take 1v1s as much as they can, at least. And you do see them pushing at the same time. Timing has to be perfect. Spectails, though, they're gonna catch the Jaeger off guard, but from behind is going to be Noodles. They try and find more, but they can't do it. It's gonna be just McMuffins coming through on the Lion to clear out the round and win it out for LVC.
Yeah, really, really good attack coming from Lebanon Valley. That is what we wanted to see, you know. Very fast, very hard, very aggressive push coming out from Lebanon over towards the blue side. At the exact same time, you're seeing that presence reduction. That's going off. That's a player going out freezer. That's the flank coming through. That opens things up. The 90 player's gone. The Pillars player has that pressure put onto them. The North Stairs player, Bravo, they're struggling a lot more as well. And suddenly, because of that, you have a really good push. The core players on the side, they've been pushed off. The roamers are left in that position to try and retake. And that's when they push onto side. The positioning, like I said, I would have rather had the Zafir on the 90, but still covering the Pillars, that's a good spot. You have the player on single wall. You have the player in that little cubby hole on that left side of the bomb site. Very well played. Very well positioned. Murray State, let's see an answer. You both know these teams can excel, and that's what I was talking about before. Every team has the power to step up, and that's why I love doing collegiate and university leagues so much. Every team can pop off in such a beautiful way.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
There's always capabilities on every team, it feels like you're saying, to just have that X factor activate. So far, it's been Plexios still on the side of LVC. We had seen them pop off last round, and that was only continuing the damage that they've already been able to do. They've secured opening kills in the first 2 rounds, and then last round, they get that backstab, the double quickly to turn the tide of the round. Them at an advantage now, 2-1. They are looking a lot better here on the attack organ compared to their previous map, Clubhouse. But yeah, this is their map choice, so it's just it's what you'd want your map choice to look a little bit more prepared here. Noodles gonna be playing down below, and they could get droned out here, so that position could be given away if this drone is timed properly. But if not, they have that backstab that Plexios has been able to capitalize on a couple times. And well, I think the drone work does come through and give away that position. So Exporium maybe playing and waiting, and just trying to figure out how they want to coordinate a push with the teammates to try and figure out what to do about these players. And well, there's going to be the opening kill on to one of the most deadly positions of Shield and Elbow.
Someone else can take it though. And they can just hold that position. They can just retake 90, and while you have one less player, that Flores drone will come through and it will take out the ADSs. Suddenly, like you say, Wes, a deadly position to be in. This got made a whole lot worse. Noodles, though, going to find 1 kill before being traded out. At least get something for your troubles. But you look at how many people have died there. That's 2 on the defense, 1 on the attack. 1 player defect is going to have a lot of troubles when it comes to covering these angles. Pushing through, Nicky Jam, in that crossfire will be taken off. And yet again, 2 versus 4. Push through 90 is being covered, but the attackers have a lot more avenues onto the side. They can start aggressing, they can start ramping up the aggression. But with a minute left, information on the board, utility in pocket. Why waste a thing? Bravo, though, is going to be taking away McStuffin's head and backing up just a little bit. Take everything you can get, even if it is just that 1 pick, Wes.
Going down, that doesn't eventually come down to a 2v2 while that's happening. So this is the time to capitalize for MSU, but they're not able to do so. The impact's coming through, but Bravo does find 1 kill, so now it's a post-plant 2v2. Still very doable. So these attackers are gonna have to really lock down the positioning here in the post-plant. They don't want to allow enough time to be on that diffuser for them to get it down. Even if they die, they just need to buy the time and not looking in the right direction. Plexios is going to shut down Bravo. Develop DNA. They have to swing out and try and find the positions of this last player, as he did get the down and kill now onto Mr. Davis, but not a lot of time remains. Only about 7 seconds to find this kill and get on the diffuser, because it is about a 7-second diffuse, so they don't have the time to mess around here. He's going to be swinging the corner, but Plexios, he's been so hot so far. He's going to get another round for his team.
Yeah, very, very well played, but I've got to be honest, the round was won a little bit earlier. He committed to the frag, and in doing so, gave away the chance of getting that plan down. Still, though, Plexios, the positioning is what won it. I mean, you could have rotated all the way over to 90. You could have gone over towards Pillars. whatever position you could have taken, you can still contest. You could still put that pressure on the attack on the defender, and in doing so, that is where we really saw DNA players really not have that great time at all. Trying to contest,
Defenders,
trying to
protect
get
your
that
bombs
French,
from
trying to
being
get back to the
defused by
ball.
attackers.
Well, no, I mean, you have to get aggressive, but you have to do it with that time on the clock. So that wasn't going to happen with 8 seconds when you take the gunfight. Either way, Plexios, incredible. What are they feeding this kid? Freshman, so brand new to the college and or university. I'm not entirely sure the way that it works, but still. He is brand new. Right, freshman is new, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm learning. So they're bringing in this new player, and the new talent is always like, this is what's so good about the collegiate leagues. As rude as it may
5
seem,
seconds to insertion.
it brings that new talent, and it keeps them constantly coming through. And Plexios is a wonderful
Attackers are
example
moving out to
of that
locate a
right
bomb
now.
and defuse it.
Other players on the other side, though, Nicky Jams and DualShock, they've been names that have been coming up quite a bit alongside like DNA and Stuffins as well. It's been a good all-round game, I think.
I think is DualShock needs to be helped out a little bit in some way. They had such a massive effect in the first map, yet here they've been a quiet one, and they're on the defense, which is where they were the loudest last map. They had done so much damage on the alibi. Here, you know, whatever role they've been on, and then has been switching up. We haven't seen the video box so much, but no matter what, they just haven't been having a good go of it. So I think once they start clicking MSU, they're more of a team that relies on everyone pulling their own weight. And here, a quick rush through the Senate does get a kill on the DNA. The quick push in through with the alibi does get a kill on Nicky Jams. This looks like a quick execute that is paying off. Plexio's going to be down though, and then Bravo finding kill in the Emporium. So while that player is down, it's essentially 3v3, but the site has been given up. Impact will finish off that kill, but the plant is going down by the Senate, and they have no way, it seems, of denying it. The player on the windows, Stuffins, that's going to lock out the rotates. It's going to be a very hard retake for Murray State.
Yeah, the window plays are making this very, very difficult. The attackers, now the defenders, only realistically need that one player on the side. Now McStuffins on the game's window is able to find 1 kill. Mr. Davis takes away Noodles and is able to get away DualShock as well. The 2 players that were forced into that trophy room went for the rotate and then were just picked off. Players on the game's window and that kid's window as well, able to get that crossfire. Even if they found the kill onto McStuffins, that would have been the round taken away. A very fast one, a very well-coordinated one. This is the Lebanon Valley I thought we could see a little bit more of in Clubhouse, but get them on the home turf, and we're seeing it. Now, for them, I just want to see them being able to bring that to the maps that they don't pick. I want to see stuff like that coming in their off-picks on maps.
Mitchell's prep is a huge impact with this team specifically. To look a little bit more lost, especially on the attacks on Clubhouse, and now here way more coordinated. It just goes to show that when they have a map in mind that they want to go to, you know, they have that strength on that map. Like you mentioned, though, something that we'll think about as the season goes on is like how are they going to improve on those maps that they aren't so prepared for, aren't so confident on, whatever it might be. Something to watch for progression throughout the season. Here, though, we have to see MSU try and progress in this game. They're down 1-4. It's actually where they were on the other foot on the last map. They're up 4-1 at one point. Here, it's time for them to overcome adversity, show that they can come back. So far, they've looked a little worse for wear. They haven't had the same impactful plays with their star players. They've all kind of been quiet on this match.
You've got to remember that we have entirely flipped the script. I mean, this is Lebanon Valley's map pick, as we did see Clubhouse being MSU's, and the 4-1 side was there, but then with the scoreline being 7-5, very close game. Murray State, this is where they can have their arc. Emporium, though, is going to be putting that down, finds that opening pick, takes away DualShock, and is going to make life a lot easier for the side of them. They just need to push forward. They need to be able to deal with this crossfire again. This armory play is a very, very critical position for the Thunders to play. Lebanon, they need to find a good way to deal with it. It doesn't get them killed. And I think that's the magic part. Now, the EMP being used for the first time that we've seen on screen, and probably not in the way we expected. A trade will go through, however, and that will make life even easier for the side of Lebanon. They still have that armory player, but when you look towards the site, that's more a detriment than a good thing.
What's
Attackers
really
have recovered
hard
their
about that
diffuser.
pick is it's on to Nicky Jams, who has the only C4. So now you have to rely, if you're going to use explosive plays, on impact to try and deny a plant once they get the wall up and start pushing through.
Attackers
Now, the
drop
other
the
thing is,
diffuser.
it's coming with so much time still left for these attackers. The drone work's going to take away that position of the player in the trophy, and the nade could come through and take them out. They're going to look like they're getting away from it and still playing around. So they're going to be really aggressive. Bravo swinging out, does get one, but Mr. Davis is there to trade it back. See Noodles going for the flank here. He might see the peep, and he does indeed see it. He'll get that kill and even things back up. That's Plexios, the man, the myth, the legend that we've been talking about. He's actually going to be dead here, though, in this round.
Attackers
So it's
recovered the
the
bomb
2v2,
diffuser.
and Emporium is in a really tricky position. This is a hard place to escape from. If he moves too much, he'll give his own feet away here. He's going to try and nade, do something to this player to distract them, but they're going to be able to see that and give the call that their teammate. Doesn't matter. Emporium, whether they knew the call or not, he gets the kill, and it is all going to be up to Noodles now in the 1v2. The plant's going to go down, so it'll be a post-plant situation for them.
Attackers
Clutch out.
the bomb.
Very, very difficult situation for Emporium to find himself in. Like you say, you have to decide. You can overwhelm that player on site, or you can keep that Roma in check while they went for the push onto site, and now Noodles in that 2 versus 1. The crossfire can be made. Yet again, we have that flank watch over towards games, but Noodles is already up on site. He's already up in attic. He knows roughly. He's got a good idea, but that's going to be Emporium looking to close things down. We'll find a kill. We'll find another round for the side of Lebanon State Valley. Looking pretty good. I do want to say, though, Murray State, that was a good defense. It's just as soon as they lost that player over towards that trophy side, then Bravo was cut off. That's when you could see they start to feel a bit uncomfortable. They weren't happy in the positions they were playing. That's when the rotate started to come through. Beautiful play coming through from Noodles. However, like we say, it was a little bit too little too late. He found that first kill from Maverick, but then suddenly they know exactly there's one player on site, there's one player off site. Okay, we can overpower this one player and we can isolate him. It's some very good situation for Lebanon to find themselves in, so they dealt with it very, very well.
Tale of the take for me that we haven't actually addressed too much, but that I've been thinking about is that Lebanon Valley, when it comes to opening picks, I don't know if it was every round, but if it wasn't every single round, it was like 5 out of the 6 rounds that we've seen so far. They have been really good about getting that opening pick onto Murray State. And Murray State then have been in the 4v5 situation pretty much every round. Really has been impactful because now what do? They're missing a player who could have been the flank. They're missing a player who could have been the primary watcher of the breach. They're missing a player who could add a C4 like we saw last round. Whatever it might be, it's clearly had an impact on them because they were not able to win many rounds on their defense on a map that is typically considered a little defender-sided. Not massively, but enough so that going 1 and 5 on your defense seems like, things aren't going according to plan. And now what do you have to do? You have to start swinging and swinging it back on your attack here. This is not their map choice, so they need to show us some really good coordination.
Yeah, but the change of momentum might be there for the side of Murray State, though. They might be looking at this and saying, well, okay, let's get that opening pick.
I'm out.
This attack
Gotta
might
reload.
be the change that they need. Okay, well, we're not playing defense. Plexios isn't going to be causing those problems anymore, especially after you take them off the board that quickly. This could be a real change of momentum for them, but we have to earn it. That's the big thing. So far, they have done with that pick, but they still have a lot of obstacles to clear. The utility over towards Games Wall, possible players over towards Attic. They have the lines of sight, so Mr. Davis could be a massive problem, especially with grenades on the board. The sun becomes pretty much a shooting range for them, and will be taking a couple of chances here. Doesn't land anything too significant or anything at all. But now the attackers know that they are there. Mr. Davis holding his position is presenting a very formidable challenge. Will do a little bit of damage now, but yet again, too significant. Half the round going, though. The big damage being done to the timer, not to the attackers.
You just give him a little shoulder pat there, doing a little bit of damage, but it's not a bunch. And here's the swing out that he could have to get the impactful kill. Bravo is in a precarious position here. It's not like the safest thing for him to do. They don't have all the time in the world, but they have enough. But McStuffins does get a kill on the dual shock. So that's Yana dead. That's some nades gone. That's the Gemini clones also off the board. So they're going to have to rely purely on the drones. And they do have a few of those still in Poggy, so that's not like the end of the world. But it's just going to be more time that they're going to have to burn trying to find this information. Where are these defenders playing? Because we don't want to run in haphazardly, not know their positions, get taken out. Drone work is going to get shut down as well. So they don't have a lot of coordination as far as other areas of the map. NECC Jam's the only other area really where they're going to be able to do any damage. And McStuffins is just doing more work. To jump in is going to be unwise, gets shut down by the shotgun. In the meantime, Noodles does find, I believe, Mr. Davis. No, not Mr. Davis, a different player. But that means Mr. Davis is still in active. So this is not looking good for the attacks. But DNA, he's trying to bring it back for them. 2v2 now, pushing in, trying to get the plant down. He has to have the coverage between these two players. One's in the kids, one is in the attic. He has fought enough time. Now it's all a matter of the post-plant position.
Yeah, very well played. Was able to cover that one line of sight. Had to cover the kids. Emporium's going to go on the hunt, though. Finds that headshot. And now in that 1 versus 1 has to go to the roof and get that second player. You know where DNA players is. You know where the diffuser is. But the big problem for you right now is that lack of support. You cannot blame that defuse without the cover of a teammate. So Emporium and Mr. Davis, they're going to play a refrag game. They're going to go in. Emporium gets down, but Mr. Davis is there to clear it. 12 seconds left on the time. It's going to be enough, but just by a hair. And Lebanon Valley, they're going to push us through the match point. Not series point, match point. They can push us to Chalet.
Defender mission successful.
They very well could. That's going to put it on to the map point for map 2. And this is a very different contest that we've seen. The first contestants, or the first, combat that we had seen, it was a really close one. It was a 7-5 win. Here, it's more dominant. Lebanon looks so much more confident, in Murray State, not nearly the fire force that we had seen in the first map. They look like they have been put out. They are cold right now. They had a shot there. They got the opening kill for the first time in a while, and they got the plant down, but just wasn't able to lock it out. And that gives all the momentum to Lebanon Valley.
I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna say, make a prediction. I feel like this is the big round for Lebanon. If Murray State were gonna bring it back, well, they would have. That was a big change of momentum. That was the chance. That's been shut down in a pretty horrible way. Going to that 1 versus 1, you were able to bring it through. You got so close. You were able to bring it back after quite a few problems. It got so close. It wasn't gonna happen. Now you're going out to that bottom floor site. Seen a lot of teams start to prefer a lot more than the top floor
10
now,
seconds remaining.
especially with the recent meta changes. So I feel like Murray State, if there was going to be a big mental shift, we would have seen it. We would have seen the fruits from it.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Now, dual shock, not performing as well. Looking towards that frag side of things, but you know, obviously he has that first match. The aggregate will be bringing that Monty, will be bringing that little bit of pressure. They expected to be pushing this side, which means they've got a plan. Which means with the Flores and the Monty, they'll be able to theoretically clear out Monty very quickly. Have to dodge around that mute jammer, won't be able to do it, however. Getting close to that girl shield on the door is going to just play a little bit of time.
One player I want to highlight that maybe is under the radar, because we've talked about Plexios, excuse me. Complexity, yeah. Plexios a decent bit, but Emporium has been pretty impactful. Just the kills have been consistent. They haven't been like huge flashy rounds too often, right? It hasn't been like a huge 4K or something, but just consistently getting kills, especially in those mid rounds where it's like close to even count. A couple bodies have been found, and then he's just the one to get that last necessary body for the team to get the win. He's really been good at that, so I want to give the highlight to them a little bit. We've been really building up Plexios, but if you look, it's just a 1 kill difference between the two of them, so you can't really underestimate Emporium either.
No, not at all. Now Plexios, however, is going to be very unaware of NECC Jams going in. Opening things up and getting the opening kill again for Lebanon Valley. Now, I've said their mental might have been put down a little bit by that last round, but this could be something to bring it back. Very aggressive pushes when stuff is taking damage. Is it going to be taken away by dual shot? But that pressure is going to be there. They're going to be where this Monty's going to be looking for some support, and that's going to be the center being able to take out that frag. Takes out Bravo, and the support of dual shock is away. Has to pull back to 90. Has to be aware of these flanks. And as quickly as it could have begun, that push just got muted. McStuffin's able to find another kill. Will take out NECC Jams and make him pay for the insolence of finding that frag.
The coordination here doesn't look great. I'll be honest, they're not pushing at the same time is the big problem. Senate can find Noodles as well. So you see all these players kind of going one at a time. There's only one player on big stairs playing with Montaigne. Speaking of which, Dual Shotgun to get the kill on the Senate, so they're trying their best here on the Montaigne. But
Mm.
in a 2v3 with the Montaigne, it's going to be pretty hard. It's going to be really relying on DNA to do some work, or maybe even the Montaigne's not who you'd expect, but they can certainly do so. DNA, though, getting that kill into Emporium, that evens things back up.
I'm out.
Now you have the 2v2 with the Montaigne human drone doing some work, and actually gets the down on the McStuffins. Oh my word, they're going to make maybe this happen. It's a 2v4 now brought to essentially a 2v1 with the down onto McStuffins. It's all going to be up to
15
Mr.
seconds
Davis.
left.
He's had some pretty impactful moments, but here he's getting distracted by the Montaigne. He's going to pull out the C4. He's going to make the Montaigne drop the shield, and he actually launches it out. He wins the map. It's the shotgun in hand. Mr. Davis TV, thank you very much. And wow, that's a fast map, 7-1.
Yeah, very dominant side going up from Lebanon Valley. I think after what we saw on MSU side and Clubhouse, and from Lebanon Valley on Clubhouse as well, that wasn't what we expected, but that was what came through. Lebanon Valley, they've been very, very coordinated on this map. This is very much one that they have rehearsed, they have prepped for, and it does show. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's how they perform on Clubhouse, then on their own map, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what this team could do throughout the season. I mean, on the side of MSU, I've got to say something. They're getting into these 1vx situations a little bit too often for my liking. And when we do see them in these situations, they're a little bit cut off from the other player if they do have that support. That's something I'd say maybe think about, looking towards working on, like having that player nearby. I mean, in the grand scheme of a round, maybe you're not in that 1vx scenario. But when you're having dual shot pushing with a player on North Stairs who gets killed, suddenly that Monty might as well be in a 1vx. They are trying to make something happen. And it's like you said last time, it was desperate, but it was coordinated. But it was desperate at the end of that round.
Well, what was impressive is they had come back from a 2v4 with the Montaigne as one of the two. But the problem was, at the end there, you have the 2v1, you know where the player is. Why are you dropping your shield when your teammate's not there with you, right? It's like you said, it's just those things of coordinating and not taking the 1v1s all alone. And that, what happens? Shotgun comes out, bam, bam. It's the round done, it's the map done.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's it for us too for now. We'll be back in just a moment. We do have a short break. We'll be right back with Chalet.
Welcome back to the opening week of the NECC Challenger Division. Now, Wialku, I'm McCready. We've just seen a couple of interesting games. Very, very good performances from both sides in their own respects. A lot of things to take forward from, but we've just seen Lebanon Valley. They've taken a very strong hold on Oregon and looking towards our next map, Chalet. Do they have the momentum to keep that going? This isn't the map they specifically picked, so they've had a really good performance on their picked map. The question is, does that translate to a map neither them or MSU picked?
That's really the question, right? Because the map that they did not choose, that their opponent chose, it's not like they played awfully. It was a 7-5, so clearly it was close. But it didn't look nearly the same. Is the main thing. We're comparing the two maps. They looked way more coordinated in the second map that they had chose. So, like you're saying, are they prepared for Chalet? Are they going to show us the same coordination that we had seen? They had been dominant on their attacks. I think Chalet does play to the attack side a little bit more. There's a lot of pinches that you can do. There's a lot of ground you can gain pretty easily. So the defenders have to play around that a little bit more. They have to do a lot more retakes, a lot more roaming and flanking. So that'll be more on the back of the other side. But I don't actually even know what side they have chosen to start on, because LVC, because they did win so much more dominantly on the map that they had won, they do get to choose which side. So I guess it depends on which side they want to start on. But the big thing for me then is going to be MSU. You know, they had shown first map, they were very capable. They had pretty good rounds. It was close, but they did win. But then last map, it was a 7-1. I mean, while you can give a lot of credit to Lebanon for looking so good, you have to also wonder, like, MSU, like, have you just kind of burned out now? Are you down now because of how bad that map had gone for you? Can you bring it back now? The good thing here for both teams, in a way, is that it's a reset. You know, those two maps, that's what got you here. At the end of the day, this is the map that's going to matter. So right now, can you clutch up? Can you win this third map?
Yeah, I feel like when we look towards which team's going to be attacking first, I feel like Lebanon Valley, they're going to want to keep that trend going. Like you said, it is more of an attacker-sided map. They have opted for that attack in the first map, and then obviously MSU, they wanted the defense the second, which really played in LVC's favor. So I feel like looking towards Chile, they want to keep that trend running. It is a map where you can get a lot of crossfires, you can cover a lot of ground and cut off a lot of ground very easily with just window play and going into one or two buildings. So jumping into the game, the question is which side is on the attack? Then the question is, what bands are going to be coming through? Because coming into this new season, there are a few changes that will be on board. Now, yet again, we're going to see Osa, Cade, and Mira being banned off the board, but Lion's going to be joining them.
That's a bit odd, right? We haven't seen that yet. And, I mean, he's good. He has a Gone 6 now. He has the EMP grenade. And then, of course, his gadget's good. His gun is good. He has a good kit all around. I don't feel like he necessarily had, like, huge impact, so it is a bit weird. And that also leaves the Jackal available, which you do see Duo Shock has switched over to. We do see Blackbeard being brought by Bravo, which is very much not in the meta ever. So, I mean, we'll see what he does with that. But, you know, maybe it's just for the utility, right? Let's just get more flashbangs, but who knows?
That, and we've also seen Bravo does like going on to those DMR operators. So, yeah, there you go. You got a DMR. You got that window shield as well. So when you think about the defender drop-off range, if you are playing for those long ranges on windows, then you might have a lot of advantages coming your way with this advantage. Now, it's not great. If you played in year one, you played against the 800 HP shield, Blackbeard just feels like a damn squib of what it used to be. But when you actually look at it on paper, that does give you that second chance. If you can fire those shots off fast enough, which Bravo can, that second chance might be all you need. I think you only have two of them, almost ironically, but Jackal being on the board for the first time in this game is very interesting to me. I feel like this might be Murray State saying, well, get rid of the line. Yep. Keep the Jackal.
Attackers have located
these guys on the road in that last map were very, very difficult to deal with. This might be a way to take control of it.
And here's the huge advantage of having that shield is if you play outside. You mentioned long angles. That's a really long one they could utilize here. Plexio, you're not sure if he's aware that the Jackal is right around that corner. He seems to be pre-firing, so there seems to be some awareness, but both players are going to be a little more hesitant here. Doesn't look like they're going for anything. The drop down does pay off. Definitely get caught out. And again, this is what we were criticizing MSU a little bit of. Not being coordinated together. If someone else was there to catch the drop down, someone playing on front door, right? They had just someone playing there with a gun in hand. Bam, that's killing Plexios. But he gets away here, and now Mr. Davis has a chance maybe even to catch the Jackal of Dual Shock from behind.
Yeah, not a single bullet fired in anger in a gunfight, and half the rounds taken off the board. Still, you have one player at least on that top floor, a couple down in the middle. No real attention being paid to the bottom. Now, Mr. Davis will be able to open things up. Takes off the Jackal, gives Plexios and themselves a lot of room to work with, but they know the players are there. Plexios able to find Nicky Jams. That's going to make life hard for the side of MSU, or MSG, sorry. And with this situation that they're finding themselves in, well, how are they going to push? The only real objectives onto sites are very, very big choke points. Bravo going to be able to find a kill onto Plexios, will alleviate some of the pressure, but it's going to be a mainstays in Garage push. They do not have that many more options. Maybe Bravo can go down blue, but you're suddenly very isolated. You suddenly do not have that much help, and if someone tries to flank you or comes at you and dares to hit the chest, that's it for yourself. Plan starts to go down on site as Noodles will push in. Bravo trying to catch all this more vertical pressure being applied, but with the Senate able to find a kill, it might not even be worth it, because that is the DNA plays in that awkward situation. Will they find one? So does Bravo, and now as the point goes down, it's all down to Mugstuff. It's time to get down, though. The plan has to go down. They have to get aggressive. They have to overexpose. The finger's going to be taken away, though. And before they can revive, gets taken off the board. Bravo has to go aggressive. Finds the kill. Finds the round for Murray State. And a very, very close round one will go the favor of the attackers.
He swung there. He'd killed the friend. Maybe he thought the plant was still going down, but oftentimes if you kill the coverage, the dude will get off of the plant and try and kill you because there's no time. Like, they know that they're a sitting duck, so they're going to try and bait you. So it's better to play the time. Also, the diffuser takes a little bit of time. You could have waited just a couple seconds late, waited for a sound cue
Attackers
there.
need to locate
Instead,
and defuse bombs.
McStuffins swings out and tossed him around. I'm just going to say it. It's not just him. Obviously, other players had fallen when they had an man advantage, so it's a team thing, but at the same time, that was one of those moments in the 1v1s where you have to have a little bit more situational awareness. But hey, Bravo, good job. 3 kills with that DMR. They are able to just know the situation. They know that if they try and plant there, they're going to die, so they go for the kill, and it pays off.
Yeah, well, I mean, it worked out very, very well. We questioned the Blackbeard, but ultimately, well, it worked out. But yet again, we're seeing Murray State coming into a couple of these 1v2, 2v2 situations I'm not a big fan of. On this first map, they didn't have that many. That's where they were able to pick up most of their rounds. That's where they were able to have such a dominating performance. So it's a bit of a red flag that I'm seeing this already, but it is round 1. So, you know, I'm ready to give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt.
Always room for change when it's so early in a map, you know. Teams could be trying different things as well. You never know if they're going to try something, and then if it doesn't work, go back to it, the standard. Just like sites, sometimes you see a weird site being thrown in because they want to try it out. So McStuffins, though, going to be on the roam game here on the Jaeger and pair with, I believe, Plexios, who's been opting to use that alibi pretty much every round of defense, and they've been good with it, so misunderstand and criticizing, but that has been what they've been just playing pretty much consistently throughout, and we continue to see them doing so. Now, this is an extension all over the map, so these attackers are going to have to figure out, do they want to take the time to hunt them down, or are they just going to ignore it, kind of like what they did last time, just push into the main breach and just go for a plant standardly and wait for those players to come to you. And that looks to be the plan so far. I don't see anyone really going up here trying to clear them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the side of Murray State, you want to go for structured attacks. It's something we spoke about on Clubhouse. You've got to have that kind of plan of, you've got to go and clear these set positions. Because this is where they're going to be playing. Library, it's position defenders love to play, especially if you've got the MX Storm in that situation over towards Brown Hallway. Just look at that. That's waiting. That's beautiful. You can go for a push to the balcony, or you could drop down the few stairs. You are not getting onto site if they have control of this position. Now, DNA Plays is going to be able to find that opening pick. Will take out McStuffins. Really good opening. Definitely going to put the defenders a little bit on edge, get them moving, which it has with Plexios. So now Plexios has to move around, has to be careful, has to put themselves in range of the window, which is just been open. And now the plan already is starting to go down. Mr. Davis is able to get a refrag, but how the hell are they going to deal with this? The plan still goes, there's 45 seconds on the clock, and the defense turns to attack. This is where Murray State have seen most of their success, is playing on this defense. And now Crossfire. Hold these angles. Maybe have a player above. But most importantly, stay alive. The longer you stay alive, the harder it is for the side 11 on Valley.
Jam's going to take out one, dual shock another. It's all falling away from Lebanon. They're not in a great position. Bravo finding another. Noodles finishing off the round. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. They just hold out at the right angles, and that's the hard part. When you let a plant go down like that, you saw that they were inside to the right. The player in blue, it looked like, might have actually swung out there. And Bravo on that Blackbeard, just want to highlight a moment I saw there, was not looking at blue. They're actually looking at the breach, ready to leave before the plant was actually officially done. That could have been disaster, but they're lucky. Lebanon doesn't actually swing while that plant's going down. They're unaware. Just the timing working out for Murray State. Lebanon, unfortunately, then are in a 4v4 post plant on the garage wall. That's almost never favorable.
Yeah, because realistically, when it comes to options, you're either peeking blue or the main stairs, or you're going to that window, and a lot of it gives a lot of time for the defenders, the attackers in this situation. Playing outside to react, they're able to say, well, there's a player here, you hold this, I'll hold blue, you hold main stairs. You're laughing. You know, have one person cover connected, you know. It's a very difficult situation to find yourself in as a defender, and it's a really good one as an attacker. That was very well done. They had a lot of pressure upstairs. They were able to put these players into different situations. Like Lexios in that library, we focused on them struggling quite a bit with this pressure. And all the meantime, Murray State, they were able to get the plant down on site. Lebanon Valley, they weren't able to land those smoke grenades exactly where they were needed. So very nice confusion tactic by having the two players push in. Ultimately, though, library and games room. I feel like this is one of the big defensive sites, and I feel like Lebanon is kind of holding back a little bit before coming here. So this is where I expect to see exactly.
I'm a fan of this bomb slate. I didn't, for one, you know, most casters, I actually haven't asked you before, but most don't like going to the same bomb slate place. If you lose it, if you go there again, most people say you should just go to another thing. But they went there twice, and they had lost 2 times on the basement. So not a fan of that, but also just not a fan of the basement on this map, if I'm being 100% honest. It's okay. But I think this bomb site is actually better. So I'm happy to see the change up. I'm happy to see this bomb site specifically. Noodles on the knock could play, you know, devil's advocate here on this roam. Give him something to question, but you notice Dual Shock is back on that Montaigne, and you know that was a huge piece of information. They did lose that round in the last round of the last map. We had highlighted before the 2 before that was a close clutch out from them. But still, the Montaigne did a really good job. So I'm expecting him to do a lot more of the same here.
Yeah, I do expect to see some of that, especially with the support of the team like Bravo in this situation, because they're able to pick up Lexios. They're able to find that. Now, Dual Shock will be going in, will be caught in a frost mat, and will not be able to get Finger Revive, which is a huge play. There isn't a Finger play, but you've got one player jumps inside library, the other's going to go and get the revive, but the C4 from Emporium closes it down, but Stuff is able to get a second to compound that. Suddenly things might turn around. Noodles comes up from the basement, able to find that pick, and cuts off that player over towards CEO. However, playing downstairs, and it's going to be able to find Dual Shock. It's all down to Noodles. Very difficult situation. What a play over towards library. Change the entire dynamic of the round, and now Noodles, yet again, putting Murray State in that. Starts to push through the crossfires there. Emporium, very well played. We'll be closing out that round with a kill. I think that 3, I believe.
And first round, Lebanon Valley. So good job from them. That defense does work out. I will say, a bit scuffed from Murray State to not think about frost mats on that site, on Chalet, like the iconic site that we have seen in most recent times when it comes to frost mats. Always have them on the windows in library, and then maybe you have another one on K9 or in Mudroom, depending where you want that last one to be. But you had to have been prepared for that, you think. That's 2 frost mats in the same round, a C4 from below while you're trying to help them up. That just was playing great into Lebanon Valley's hands. They're probably pretty happy about that round, but they are going to go back to the bomb site that they have now lost times already. So this is where things get questionable. Have they made the adjustments now to fix the errors of those few rounds?
Now, you asked me earlier, and I'm going to answer it now. I'm personally of the belief of, right, you lose the site twice, you change that site. If you win a round, you might be tempted to go back. Try that 3rd site. If If you win that third site, then you'll
5
be able to
seconds
go
to
back.
insertion.
And if you lose it, you'll be able to go back to that basement anyway. I feel like getting
Attackers are
that
moving
early
out to
round
locate a
advantage
bomb
is just a
and defuse
little
it.
bit better going back to that bottom floor. I mean, Level Up Valley, they clearly have something that they want to make work. But there are a couple of fundamental issues. This roam clear has been very decisive. It's been very distracting for the defenders. I mean, we complimented the roaming in that first round. We said, well, there wasn't much being done for the time being wasted. But in actuality, the plant's gone down both times that they were on that site. That's a big, big thing for me. When that plant goes down, when they're on that site, and when these crossfires are put in place, well, you know, they're doing something right now. The push comes through. DualShock's able to find the kill. Plexio's a little bit eager now. DualShock has to be very, very careful. There is another roamer.
Bomb located by attackers.
Away. Now that Inox will pick up the footsteps, and DualShock realizes there's a player nearby. Scan comes through, and the wallbang potential is absolutely huge. Mr. Davis should just fall off here. But no, they're going to go peek the door. They want that gunfight. You can tell they want it, and they're going to win it out beautifully. DualShock taking off the board. Everything decked down to that 4 versus 4. Another attacking player brought upstairs. But what's happening down on site? We've been in this situation before, Wes, and Murray State were able to take control of it both times. And that is a very interesting Maverick trick onto the wall.
Yeah, it looks like they've been carving out weird shapes into it, but you know, maybe it'll be enough for them to get in. I can't quite tell. I can't see the full thing. Looks like it is vaultable. Not ideal to have to vault in, but that bulletproof is really the big issue right now. They have to clear that out. That's going to just be feeding information. That was something that had been the issue the last 2 times. Why were they able to get the plant down? Well, the lack of information, I feel, is a huge part of it. Now that that bulletproof is there, you don't have to face check it. You have that information being fed to you. They have to think about what utility they're going to use to clear that out. So this is all going to be a waiting game for Murray State until they figure out how they're going to clear that. Otherwise, you know, they're just kind of wasting time. And it's only going to help Lebanon Valley here because they're on defense, right? So time is favoring them, and it's only getting worse right now. It's less down, 45 seconds roughly. There's the Gonfix finally coming in. Too little too late.
Well, it isn't at the moment for Noodles able to find that opening pick as they start to push down onto the site. Jaeger playing a connector is going to be smoked off, which causes a lot of issues, but they still have that window. Oh, Nicky Jams, what are you doing? Goes in for the knife, is unable to find it. And as the plant gets confirmed, DNA Place closes things down. Murray State, their 3rd time attacking this site, their 2nd time getting the plant down, and their 3rd successful round on the attack. Taking this site at this point, I would say do not go there, and that's exactly what Lebanon Valley are going to do. They're going to go upstairs. They're going to ignore it, because at this point, that bottom floor, it's just not going to happen for you. Take a round in Master, go back to that game's library site. But there you go. I mean, that, you get a couple of those rounds on the board, maybe go back down there. But the bottom side, Murray State, they know what they want to do.
I just don't like the bottom site because of how accessible it is from the side. And then the walls are usually pretty easy to open up. Especially the backside, actually, which they didn't even go for. They just went for the front side take. But if you go on boiler wall and everything, get that open up, usually it's pretty easy for the attackers to, you know, start clearing things out. Especially if paired with that wall being opened up that they have been getting open. You know, that's a lot of cross angles. There's a lot of rotates being cut off. So like you mentioned at the beginning of the start of this step, you cut off a lot of control from the defenders. Cut off those choke points where they have to get back to site. There's only so many avenues. Well, that's why I don't like downstairs. So I'm happy that they have now decided not to go down there again. They've already given up 3 rounds now because they were so persistent in it. And it's questionable because this is the bomb site that is played at the forefront of Pro League. I think this is the first site for every Pro League team when they're on defense. Go upstairs. It's a good bomb site. So my question now is, why have they been avoiding it?
I mean, personally, my go-to is bar games. Yeah, that doesn't distract from the issue. Lebanon Valley, they've really liked this bottom floor. They haven't wanted to move away from it, but they've been forced away, I think is the best way to describe it. I feel like this is going to play into their strengths a lot more. They're able to have this roaming presence. They're able to have these players putting this pressure on, and if these roamers don't get dealt with, then there can be no plan. There can be no push. Which is something Murray State have been able to take advantage of in the last couple of rounds. Rotates will come through. That library presence will be noted and will be trying to be dealt with, but well, if you're going to push library, you need to have that player over towards balcony. Now, Murray State, they've gone for the interesting choice of putting all their players over towards balcony, bar one. maybe we might just see somebody trying to get a little bit sneaky-beaky.
The main problem with Murray so far that I've seen, they're doing really well. I like to be a little critical of like where they could improve. That's just the way I am. And one thing I think they could certainly improve on is like how they decide to push things has not been like very diverse. They go for like really straight attacks. They stack up a lot, right? You don't see them split up. Right now, they actually are. They have a couple people actually going for the taken library. This is different from what we've seen from them. Most of the time, they really do just stack up and go for like a one-dimensional approach. And that's been my big criticism of them. So I'm happy to see them changing that here in this round. A couple players designated open library. The others would be over on K9 window.
Yeah, now, Plexios is a very difficult situation. We'll be able to get damage down to DNA. Now, droned out from both sides. Library and balcony. You're playing your life again. This is exactly what we saw in the clubhouse on Strip Club. You have to just waste some time. Save that ammo. Mr. Davis is there to help, but Bravo's coming down below. The red pings come through, and that vertical pressure. Multi-pronged attack, that's what we wanted to see regularly. It will bear some fruit, and DNA plays opens things up. Another frag coming through for the attacking side. Now, 45 seconds left. Presence over towards that master bedroom hasn't been touched just yet. Now that will safe again. You can open. You have to use that smoke grenade, Emporium. You have to pull back. You have to be very, very careful. Murray State here, they're looking in a very good position for attack. Until it comes through, they can start to jump to that piano window. And Emporium's holding, waiting. The Flores drone is going to lead the charge. Looks Stuffins just to help out. The plan starts to go down. The cover's in position from piano window and from balcony. It's going to be an absolute bloodfest if you try and push up. Stuffins are finding your shots up. Get it. Seconds left. That plan has to go down. It has to happen. But Flores jumping in, falls to Nicky Jams. The plan starts to go down again. And that's going to be the defenders cleaning up with Stuffins at the center. Oh, the flank. The time to get down. Murray State just weren't paying attention to their belief.
And while we did see the Senate, I believe over there on the flank on the mute get the kills, the real hero there was the smoke player. I think it was Emporium. I could be wrong about that. But they're the one who was throwing those smoke babes at the end, making it so they could not plant. And, that's what's really important there. They played their life, and they're also able to play patiently on that piano area. So while the opening kills were all in the favor of Murray, they get the 2 opening picks. They hold firm on Lebanon Valley's side, and that's why upstairs is strong. You can get realistic flanks like that, but also if you buy enough time like we did see them do, well then if you have the right utility, you just win the round on time.
I do feel like that is the key of what we've seen coming out from the side of Lebanon Valley. When their roams are nearby, close to the objective, they see the tangible results. They have a better feel for how the round is playing out, and as such, that means they can adjust that play to suit them.
5 seconds to
Whereas when they've been on that bottom floor side, they've been struggling to kind of get the feel for the round. They were struggling to say, okay, we need to drop back down now. And that's going to be a start. But to continue my point, with the fuse being taken off the board, that's life made even harder. But these players, they can adapt so much more closely and more sort of better when they're playing the ball as close to sight. That's a big fundamental change I've seen between the sites we've seen so far. But Bravo being taken off the board, holding a lot of the fragging weight alongside DNA plays on the side of Murray State. Use charges on a vertical base site. That hurts.
Yeah, it's rough. You now have a Zophia's 1 in 5 as well, so that's something else to think about. Is like, what are they going to do, right? Like, what are they going to do to make up for this? Because you need someone else to pick up the slack. You've mentioned they have 7 kills for Bravo. Top fragger is dead, so someone else needs to step up. If someone's on the Zofia, like Jams, kind of looking at them, you need them to now step up, use that gun to the best potential it has. Now, Noodles last time was left in a 1v3 because of the Frostmat situation. For one, but also just like on the knock, they also have potential here to do some of that damage that you would expect from someone who's not going to be going with the main push, right? They're going to be doing something somewhere else on the map, so that X factor has to hit here.
Yeah, I really hope that Murray State learned that lesson about those Frostmats. Obviously, the Sanders brought them again. They were actually did very, very well. Combined with the Valkyrie cameras, with that information from Emporium, well, then life can just be so much harder. Now, Noodles down below with that knock is going to be looking to get those picks alongside the Jackal. I really like this coordination of the players down below trying to sneak in. Jackal getting that presence over towards that main lobby and start looking towards the site. Will be rotating around though. Eagles still sneaking in. Position will be given away a little bit. That blue stairs player will be a little bit more aware of what's going on below. Right now, Noodles is going to be pushing forward. Mr. Davis shuts that down pretty quickly. And that makes life harder for the attack. Defense, another player up. Yet another minute left on the clock. Down with Mickey Jams, like you said, Wes has to find something here. You're going to have to get that blue stairs player. And it's going to have to be soon. Start getting that first player if this player goes down. They know where you are. They know you're in Mudroom. What are you going to do?
Not a lot so far. DNA is going to push up, and the barricade's in the way, so that down is going to give away what they're trying to do. They have utility. They can kind of get that shield there, but McStuffin and Mr. Davis are going to shut down both of those players, and we're left with DualShock outside of the window here, the main push. And there's not a lot to do here in a 1v5. It's a flawless round. Plexios will get credited with the last kill. And guess what? Lebanon Valley up now 3-3 in all of the rounds they had lost around the bomb site.
And it hurts because you look at that bomb site and you say, well, Lebanon Valley, they've been doing so well on the other bomb sites. Their coordination's been there. Their flank watch has been there. Their flanking in general has been incredible coming through on some of these rounds. But they just wanted to hammer home that basement, and that's what was tripping them up. And their roamers, they weren't as closely knit towards the site.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
It really felt like a struggle to see Lebanon take that bottom floor site, which is why it hurts to see them do so well. They go to the other sides, they do well, and you think if they just stick to those three from now on, it's fine. But for now, though, they are going to have an entirely different issue because Murray State on the defense now are not going to that bottom floor site. They're going to be heading up to that master bedroom, and I feel like they're going to take this in a very, very one-dimensional way. Not to be I feel like that's the best way for them. Their attacks have been very one-dimensional, as you've said.
10 seconds left.
When they've expanded it a little bit, they've started to improve a bit more, but I feel like their defense,
before insertion.
This is the best way they can play. Maybe hang one player back or two,
Attackers must locate
but just focus on what Lebanon Valley's doing. Try and catch them head on, stunt the momentum. It's going on to your attack. This is where it ran away on Oregon.
One thing to keep in mind too is if they have a roamer, the main thing that we've criticized them for on MSU's side is that they don't play buddy up a lot of the time. It's a solo 1v1. And with the Dokkaebi being brought, that's a lot of information. You do not have mute jammers to deny that information being ringed through. You have to manually turn off the phones. So if you have a player out and about like Bravo here and they're alone and they're getting that phone call on them, that's going to be, I think, an advantage for Lebanon in the gunfight at the very least. And I'm not going to say it's a freebie, but it'll certainly be a hard fight to win on the side of Murray State. Some information being gleamed here with the drone work, but looks like Lebanon are still fully deciding what they want to do, but it is actually looking like a solar state. They're actually going for the front side. And so Nicky Jam's taking some damage. The nade from below is kind of connected. He's in the wrong position. He almost runs into it, but he's pretty lucky on the timing there.
Noodles, though, he's going to make sure he's unlucky with the timing. We'll be pushing up West Main and find that pick. Takes away the sludge, but the nades have gone out already. Plexios able to find a refrag, not onto the player of Noodles. Bravo got down. Revive now, yes, but there's no Thunderbird on the board, or not. Because that HP is going to be down, and that's going to be a deposit later. Cash out at some point. A very difficult part of pushing these windows isn't going to be happening thanks to DualShock. Makes Plexios off the board, keeps that player advantage, and DNA can pounce it yet again. Now, the very difficult position, you got to jump in these windows, and if your name is McStuffins, you got to do it with a DMR. You can smoke things out, you've got that SMG in bucket, you know that player's holding you. Now, though, that player looks away. Opportunity is on the board. The C4 playing down below is going to make life a lot harder. There's a wide range of problems for the attack when they do come to this execute. They don't have the diffuser yet. Myriad of problems here for Lebanon.
I'm wondering if they know on the defense if that diffuser is down. That's what I'm really curious about. The hole being made has now been used against them to glean some information. They have recovered it, but then instantly shut down by DNA, and the phone call comes through as a last-ditch effort to try and jump in, but it is not going to get inside the building. DualShock is just having such a massive round here to let MSU start on the right foot on the defense and get the first round.
Well, really big credit over towards the side of MSU. I was very happy with seeing that bathroom. They had that wall open up. They had that crossfire onto the bedroom door. it meant that DualShock wasn't over-aggressing so much. Even if there was another player on the board, there was that cover. So they could go and peek towards that Habana breach on the wall because that cover for the door was there. You could see at least the movement. You could call at least the
Attackers need
player
to
trying to peek.
locate and defuse bombs.
Ultimately, those windows are a big problem. Finding that opening pick from Rose was huge, though. Being able to take the Emporium off the board so quickly, with that sledgehammer, with those frag grenades, with that presence Emporium's been bringing. Like you say,
Bomb
we've been doing a
located by
lot of work
attackers.
to the side of Lebanon Valley. Last game we talked about Plexia, this game we talked about Emporium. We're taking off the board so quickly, big hit for the side of Lebanon and Murray State. Gotta be happy to have it.
Now we get to see, though, is it the bomb
10
site?
seconds remaining.
Because MSU are going to go down to that basement and see if they can have better luck. Because 0 and 3 on the other side, you know, if you're looking at that and thinking that
Attackers
was
are
the
heading
same
out
for
to
both
defuse
teams,
the
this
bomb.
is not a good
Attackers
choice.
have dropped the bomb
you know,
diffuser.
it's a different team. It's a different hold. So perhaps they have a different solution. And if you do see that, a huge difference is they've stacked up down here. They're not roaming very heavy. The huge problem with Lebanon on this defense was they were having roamers who had no impact on the round. They were not near the bomb site, like it said. So, you know, they can get this wall up. They can go for a quick execution here, yes. But the main problem, though, is these roamers don't seem to be too far away. That is a really good bandit trick coming out from Noodles. Gets rid of one of the exothermic charges, and here might be the second. And he knows that he can keep picking these up and putting them down, picking them down. And that is, I think, a nade going through, and it's going to get the kill. Yep, so Plexios does get credited with that. Noodles doing their best, but they just weren't covered quite. The ADS, you know, already burned. It's going to allow the wall to get open up, and they get the opening kill. Shots ringing out, and with the sense here, Torium's going to get a kill on the DNA. Bravo's trying to bring it back, but it is all Lebanon Valley so far. Plexios finding Nicky Jams that Glaz is going to do a lot of work.
Attackers
So
activated.
4v2 post-plant situation now. It's a lot of work for Bravo and DualShock to do, and it isn't looking very great for them.
Yeah, big problem for me was looking at that window and saying, well, that wasn't really clever, but the aggression of that push just caught Murray State off guard. Now Bravo has been able to get their senses back a little bit, uses that ability to get pushing towards that Glass, gets that kill, opens things up. They know that player's playing on the breach hook, stuff is just sees ahead, takes the player off the ball, Plexios closes it down, Lebanon Valley. They do have that 4-4 score line, but they've got to keep it going, they've got to keep it rolling. It's a very fast push, very aggressive, but it's not going to work every time. And if we look towards that site again...
Oh, not again. Please.
Yep, we're going to see it again. But if they do, when they do go back to that site, I want to look towards that vertical play. There wasn't much of it. It didn't seem really thought about by Lebanon. Or maybe having some pressure over towards blue for that execute. They relied very heavily on the frags. That's something that
Defenders,
obviously
protect your bombs
isn't going
from
to
being
happen this
defused by
time.
attackers.
Murray's State, they're not going to be caught off guard like that again. They're going to have a player on that balcony, just putting the pressure through them.
Attackers have
Murray
discovered
State.
the location of a bomb.
Bit unfortunate, you good effort to try and bring it back, but Lebanon Valley had that round. This is where you can win. This is where you can really make them suffer. But I think, if I had to, all important part of the round was the bandit charge. Very nice use of the EMP. It obviously denies that bandit charge. So, New was thinking, I gotta get everything down. But you also
10
missed the
seconds
part
to
where it
insertion.
gets rid of the ADSs as well. That's why they've adapted it and pushed those
5
ADSs
seconds
back,
left before insertion.
so they can actually catch.
Attacker's objective is to
They can
defuse
use
the
that
bomb.
EMP, but those ADSs aren't going to get disabled, and that is just a little micro adjustment that I'm happy to see them do.
Another adjustment is while the bandit is bandit tricking, you can have the Jaeger almost, we'll say Jaeger trick, where he doesn't actually put it down until the EMP is thrown, and then he puts down an ADS real fast and tries to time it with the bandit. Like, it's hard, but you know, you have a little bit, it's more likely to work because the EMP can still potentially reach at least that first ADS, so you know, you gotta be careful about that. Now it does look like they're going for a different execute here. They're gonna go for that backside. It's a boiler room right now. You see the ace going straight to that wall. And then the main wall looking towards car garage is also, you know, pretty viable. There's the mute jammer on it, but that usually can get cleared out. There's definitely the utility in the pocket of these attackers. You have the Yana, for example, with the nade. So they certainly are going to be able to do it. And then, of course, the EMP grenades are just going to make it so the walls are opened up. So Mr. Davis going to get that opening kill on the DualShock. So yet another opening kill on this basement defense is not going to go in favor of Murray State.
Yeah, well, In this situation, though, they do have to make sure that they don't let things get away from them. Now, Lebanon Valley taking that different approach, have that wall open, and they do have the crossfire, but it is still very much of a choke point. Now, this army is going to be able to bring back a little bit of this cover. It makes life a little bit easier for the defenders, as they can just hold up a little bit more comfortably. They know the drones are down. Bravo rotating front is aware that smokes were a very big part of that last push, and it might just be again. But at the moment, it's going to be Stuffin's able to find the kill. Takes out Plexios and thought, well, you TK'd one of your top fraggers. We're going to do the same. With a little bit of sportsmanship coming through as Stuffins looks to get a double kill in this round. Take out the player of and able to land those shots. Autumn will peek it again, but the center's going to be closing down Noodles.
Attackers bomb diffuser
Blue
has
peek
been
from
dropped.
Nicky Jams gets the kill onto the
recovered
Senate,
the
so the
bomb
refrag is there. 20 minute remaining. It's a 3v3. Emporium had, you saw, kind of scuffed the usage of the utility. I don't think he has anything left in the tank for the Zofia, so it's all just gun in hand here for these attackers to have some claymores in pocket they could put down for those flanks, but that is all they have. People are going to come out, but it's not going to ring true, so it is just the 3v3. The only thing left for Gadgetry is really in just the impacts on the Azami. She doesn't even have any more of her barricades to throw up, so it's really going to come down to the gunfights here. The last 30 seconds of the round. McStuffins just holding an angle, but they have to push in eventually here. They can't just sit here waiting. You know, McStuffins does get the kill on the Bravo. It opens up the site, but DNA, an instant flashback at Mr. Davis. It's the 2v1 while the plant goes down, and is the coverage going to be there? Emporium, huge player so far. Does get the first, the second isn't swinging at the same time, so now a post-plant 1v2.
Yeah, not aware of where DNA is playing, starting to narrow it down just a little bit, but with this 1v2 situation, now they can just play it safe. They can back up a little bit. You have Emporium take the gunfight. Yeah, if you feel confident, you're going to have to get that player around. That's going to be McStuffins taken off the board. DNA goes to the swing. This is what the player is able to take it out, though, and keeps the Murray State in the lead. One round at a time. Beautiful play. Beautiful isolation of these attackers.
Defenders win.
To take those gunfights one-on-one.
No. Huh? He does the head shake. Well, I'll be honest. DNA made up for a mistake.
Yeah.
His teammate had pushed in blue. This is, again, one of those things we talked about where they could improve. Swing together. The timing has to be right. They did not swing at the same time. His teammate died in blue. So now he's in a 1v2. It's a way harder situation than if he had swung at the same time. He could maybe get the planter or even both those kills lined up at the same time while his teammate's getting shot at.
Defenders,
so,
protect your
you know, that could have been different, but he still makes it work, right? That's what matters. At the end of the day, yeah, there might have been a small error there, but he's still able to come through in the clutch, and that's what's going to give them the advantage now. 5-4, going to go back upstairs, so we do see that finally the basement, the curse has been figured out. They're able to win it out. It was close, but they do not fall like we had seen Lebanon Valley.
Yeah, a lot of potential still on the board, and I'm really liking how toe-to-toe this is. I mean, we've seen a few interesting decisions being made on either side of the teams, but at the end of the day, they are keeping it close. They are keeping it neck and neck. They're keeping it tight where it needs to be. I think it's going to happen in this tough situation. We've seen both teams really bring up that X factor and wanted to start the season off right. They obviously don't want to end up with a loss, but they're proving. I feel like that's the big thing for me. Really showing how much they're putting in the adaptation. They're showing a bit of respect to the other team. It has gone pretty good. I'm quite happy with the game we're watching so far.
I am as well. It's been pretty close. This is more like the first map, I feel. The last map, you know, it got us here. That's what the main storyline for it is, but it was a pretty one-sided thing for Lebanon. Now, though, back to that toe-to-toe that we had seen in the first map, and, well, a little bit more favoring Murray State so far, but it hasn't been by well, they have a chance here for Lebanon. Just the score count. So the barricade is going to get taken care of. Mr. Davis is just going to be doing the window repel work, but we had seen them get caught out on this bomb site before on the attack. They had run out of time was the big thing. They'd done some last-minute movements on the outside of bathrooms, for example. But so far, you know, my concern is, again, the time. Are they going to be a little bit better about getting control of the site?
Yeah, and I feel like that's something definitely Azami is really, really good for doing. Slows things down. That window coverage, that front cutoff, that can't be used until those zombies are gone. You're aware someone's watching it. You have to have that position. You can't reasonably execute onto site if you don't have these in these positions. Jamzo's going to be able to find the first kill. Will be traded out by Plexios, who pushes forward with that Ayana and the G36 and that deadly
Diffuser has been dropped. Attackers recover the
Diffuser will get dropped, will be picked up, but Dual Shock's going to be the player dropping somebody else. Buckstoffin's taken out of the competition as Dual Shock wants to get aggressive. Knows there's a player on that window, but DNA players is going to be able to find Plexios. Time ticking down. Players falling down. Attackers down into a 2 versus 4, and Murray State starting to close things down. I mean, while the plant is going down, that player on the window isn't comfortable. Doesn't spot that player in the piano corridor. Isn't aware of this push. Will have to get aggressive. Will be able to find a kill, but the question is, can they protect Emporium? No, they cannot. 3 versus 1. The post plant can go through. The defuse can go through as well. You're going to have to try and deny. You hear it through the floor, but can you land the shot? No, you cannot. It's just not going to land, and that's going to be match point and series point for Murray State. Brutal, horribly close, but it is what it is.
It was a hard position to try and clutch out when the 2v4. You get the plant down, your teammate who got the plant is dead. You got the trade, at least you won, but yeah, it's a 1v3. You're not going to play on the window there. Like, you just don't have the angle for it. It's very deadly. They could allocate one player because there's plenty of time to jump out on you if they really needed to. So you have to go for the below floor bang, and sometimes it just doesn't pay off, right? You don't have the lines of sight, so you maybe try and use that shotgun backup and then spray through the floor. It's just like and you had to take the time to get off the rappel to where you were. So just nothing favored them. I like the effort, but just getting to that point was the problem. It wasn't the situation and what they did with it. They did the best that they could, but getting to that point with the man and disadvantage is really, that's where the problem was. They just needed to win some of those gunfights earlier in the round, and I think part of my thoughts of improvement for them would be the solar take 2 times now has just not worked. I think they've lost the opening engagement 2 times now on that bomb site. So I mean, you got to think about some different variety of pushes, because going for the same one over and over when it's not working is just not going to make a difference.
I do want to have a little throwback to Clubhouse, realistically. And I say, at this point, Murray State, they're feeling very comfortable in the end game of these rounds on the defense now. You'll see in their situation on that bomb site, like you said, they got that open pick. They were able to shut down that window player a number of times, and they're comfortable in these crossfires. They're comfortable in the end game saying, okay, well, they're going to push. We have 3 players up. Let's get a crossfire. Let's shut them down. We might lose somebody, but we're playing the refrags. Murray State, they've shown a different caliber of game. They have refrags. They have that playing together. They might not be having that peeking at the same time, that coordinated double peek, but as Plexios is able to find the opening pick, we're going to see whether Murray State whether they have what it takes to close it down within the next round, or do we risk the possibility of overtime? Dare I say those words? But right now, Plexios is going to be thrown in, has to deal with these roamers on that top floor.
This is the first time we're seeing this defense from Murray State. They had gone downstairs and upstairs 2 times now, and they've won 3 out of those 4. So they lost downstairs once, they won it once, and it was a really close win for them. So that's probably why they're going here, right? How close that was is the 1v2 clutch that came through, and you don't really expect that to always happen. It makes sense to go here, and the push out is just going to gain some more information, and they're going to notice it's a normal setup. It's going to be the frost shield from the top of blue and some ADS to protect it. Nothing really crazy, really nothing to do diligent. Be killed from Mr. Davis on the dual shock. So man advantage hugely in the favor of Lebanon Valley. They just have to now think about coordinating properly. They should get this round.
Yeah, you can tell Lebanon, they're a lot more comfortable with thinking about this attack. They're a lot more comfortable with getting to the position of this attack, if that makes sense. Getting to the situation where they're ready to push forward. But still a big few problems remain. That's Noodles playing on the blue stairs. That's the players upstairs they need to deal with. While Plexios will be able to find 1 kill through that breach onto DNA. That blue player's still alive. Jam's playing close, is aware of the player in lobby. Doesn't want to get aggressive, doesn't want to do anything about it. Does get a little bit out there, but not enough to take the conflict. Everything's on the line here. Murray State, they can win it out, or they can give another lifeline to Lebanon, who are at this point just trying to take everything. everything they can with both hands. Time ticking down, and I feel like Lebanon, they need to do something with this vertical play, but they don't really have that soft reach destruction. They have the jack, but they're not doing anything with it. They don't have the time to. 20 seconds left down on the clock, and while Mr. Davis will take a little bit of damage and do some as well, it's Mustafin's going to be struggling a little bit more. Nobody's going to die until Noodles gets taken out by Plexios. They can't find the last player, but Mustafin's though is able to keep them in the game. Lebanon Valley, they are able to stick around just a little bit longer, keep us even closer in the game.
And I think we just saw a reason of why they didn't go to that bomb site before for MSU. Didn't look super comfortable. Yes, you lost a player early, so that didn't help. But that happens from time to time on that bomb site. What really mattered was just like they didn't have the right positioning, I felt. Yeah, they had the shield on blue, that's standard. But no one was really playing up on the mezzanine area,
Attackers need to
which is
locate
pretty
and
common
defuse
right
as many
outside
bombs
of
as
the
they
library.
can.
No one was playing there. So they didn't have the crossfire with blue to help cut down that attack from the top floor. And then, of course, losing other bodies as well didn't help. So, I mean, to me, it just looks like they're not super comfortable in that bomb set, I'll be honest. So, it makes sense now to try this one because they've gone 1-1 on it. So, I mean, they certainly show that they know how to retake. They know what angles they can take as defenders. The main concern here, though, again, is going to be if you let a diffuse go down. Because 2 times now on this basement, you have let the diffuse go down.
10
You got
seconds
lucky
to
in the
go.
1v2. DNA is able to clutch it out. You can't rely on that. So really, my
5 seconds remaining.
market improvement on this basement for them is going to be can they deny that plan?
Attackers must locate
Yeah, I
and
mean,
defuse a bomb.
That's obviously a really big obstacle. That's a big challenge. But one of the base objectives in the game, yes, but I think it's definitely one of the weaker
Attackers
missions.
have dropped the bomb
Sign.
diffuser. Attackers
The
recovered the
big
diffuser.
worry for me with MSU going to this site for their possibly final map, the deciding round of regulation. Lebanon Valley, if they go for this push from Okaraj, yes, we saw MSU win it, but they come down to a 1v2 being clutched out with that flank go down. The round before, they pushed that main breach. It was a fast, aggressive push. They got the flank down, they hold the press fire. We need to see the adaptation from Murray. We need to see them play that a little bit careful. And if they lose dual shock here, that could have been huge. Very lucky to get away with. Very, very grateful that they can escape with their life there. Now, pressure towards the Algarage has taken place. Thatcher being on the board is going to open things up. They can get these walls open first. But yet again, we are seeing
Bomb has been located.
this army hatching a lot of holes for problem, and Corey unable to find the kill of the Noodles. This makes life a little bit easier. Look at that angle all the way to connector. What a beautiful shot to be hit. Where are the player towards blue? What's the next step here for Lebanon?
They'll take it a step at a time for sure. Whatever that step might be, they have plenty of time to do it, right? That's not even halfway through the round to get that opening pick. And by the way, I would make note, I believe that is the 3rd time now that they've gotten the opening pick. So while this defense has been struggling, a lot of it comes on the back of opening kills have been for the attackers almost every time. McStuffins already in the site, getting a plant down. The C4 is not going to be close enough, not nearly close enough.
Attackers are
So that
activating
wasn't going to make a difference. A player falls to the Senate as Sticky jams, and it's a 3v5 post plant. This is why it's basically so hard. This is not an easy site to retake. McStuffins shutting down DNA. Mr. Davis takes out dual shock. It's all up to Bravo, and it's a flawless round, and we're going to overtime.
And the really big question for me is why are we only seeing this from Lebanon right now? Very, very good execute on society. Obviously had that opening pick. But then you look at that, put that flank going down. 5 players still on the board on the side of Lebanon Valley. The C4 goes to, doesn't find anything. The crossfire is there though. They're able to cover that blue, they're able to cover connector. As soon as that happens, you could just see the ace ball back. The player watching West Main, oh, that was beautiful. Because obviously you look towards the Jaeger would see that Claymore, and, well, okay, no, we don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to shoot it, I'm just going to go by. You know, I've caught them off guard. No, you've got the player up there as well. So it really does, it makes me think, where was Murray State thinking, like, this was going to be a good idea? Like we said, they were able to win out that site when Lebanon took that attack last time down to a 1v2 clutch. They haven't won that site on defense.
And that's the thing too now, is that you only have to defend 2 times. You've won every other bomb site.
Yeah.
You don't have to go downstairs again. So for me, this should favor Lebanon being on defense now. They should be able to go upstairs and go to bar on the two defenses if they can't win their attack, right? But they have an advantage for sure. They should be able to go to one of those two sites, win here,
Yeah.
try out on their attack, and if it doesn't work out, they have another shot that's very, very likely for them. So just don't go downstairs. That's all. And they're not. So they're already playing it pretty well to their favor.
Yeah, I
Defenders,
mean,
protect your bombs from being defused by
I
attackers.
think I would have started screaming if I saw Lebanon go into that basement again. Going to the bar games, site that they were performed quite well on. They've been able to shut down quite a bit on this site. Now,
Attackers
we're
have
not
discovered
seeing
the
the return of that
location of a
multi just
bomb.
yet, but we are seeing the Capital. I quite like this Capital because the amount of power that this operator can bring is it's big problem areas that we've seen in this site in general is that piano hallway and mezzanine. Capital can flush out without a lot of danger. There's no one on the board. Capital can flush out a lot of these players from their positions, open things up to the attack. Say that fireplace causing issues for your library entrance. Well, take them out. Player over towards that piano up these
Attackers are
stairs.
moving.
Well, you barely have to peek it. You just get the fireball over there to your left.
Changing mags!
I quite like the inclusion of this operator, especially with the smoke grenades that can be brought as well. So, I want to see what happens. I want to see how everyone will deal with this.
One thing I don't particularly like about this lineup is there's not a lot of destructive capabilities. You only have like the Zofia charges and maybe a Gone 6. A couple Gone 6s actually. Look at the lineup. Capital just got added some, so him and Finka each have one. Which is nice, but you have no
Attackers'
nades.
bomb diffuser has been dropped.
So
Yeah.
you can't really get kills off of it. And then burning wise, you have a couple smokes. That's really it. So you can use the fire arrows, which can clear out some locations, but it's not going to help you clear out the actual shields, like the actual utility. So that's my concern now for this attack. Like, how are they going to actually clear out the utility? They have to be very conservative and very purposeful in the way they use the utility.
Well, I believe blue stairs, that's going to be a
Attackers
huge
recovered
priority
the
for the
diffuser.
attacking team. They're going to look at that shield and say, well, we can't reasonably push this site at all. We can't push from the stairs. They'll just walk downstairs, or they'll call it and get a crossfire over their backside. Nothing we can do about it. If we push that attack and there's a shield, well, they have a very powerful position to play from, which you can see right now. Zenit trying to take that gunfight, trying to win it out. Isn't going to be able to land those shots. Isn't going to be taking the kill just yet. Oh, stuff is one mistake. But just holding that position causes so many problems to the attacking team. If you don't take that shield out, there's always that risk that someone could retake it. Now, Nicky Jams is a bit closer. Has that barrier 308 and is trying to land a shot. It's not going to land. Might be trying to get a flame behind that bomb, but if you do it a bit too early, well, it might not have any impact with that push. And it might leave the rest of your team a little bit unfazed. Time to get down. The first kill will come up onto the board. There's going to be much stuff installing. DNA is going to fall, will revive themselves, but that's still a lot of damage done. For free. Lebanon Valley really don't have to worry about it, but Emporium does as they take half damage. Back off a bit more. The push downstairs, the roam clear comes through, but at 45 seconds left, this roam clear should have been done before. Bravo is able to find out Plexios, but why? Why are these police downstairs? Mr. Davis simply put to waste time. Jackal just trying to clear it out, make sure that this blue stairs can't be used again. But that's one player less on the attack side. Luckily though, two-player advantage. Still for this blue side right now. Blue stairs will be taken. Dual shock will find a kill. And with 20 seconds left, that push on the side is going to take place. Zenit's able to find Bravo, narrowing that advantage down bit by bit. But as Emporium falls, it seems like the rest of Lebanon Valley will. As Noodle closes things down. Gives Murray State the first round of overtime.
Well, they had won every site except for basement, and now it is finally not true. They have lost on that bar site. And it came on the back of some adjustments from MSU, but also with all the time that was bought, you would think that Lebanon did have a decent advantage there. They weren't down in the man count department and by much, maybe one player at one point. But then near the end, obviously, it started falling away from them. Had they played that time just a little bit better, it would have been a very different story, but they didn't. They were caught isolated.
Attackers
We
need
saw
to
the player
locate and
behind
defuse
bar
bombs.
taking some damage. Constantly being. That's been a huge distraction for the attackers. I was actually a little worried about it. But the fact is, they just didn't have the right positioning, I feel, because the attackers got in for free. And then when the contesting points happened, like above, it was just the 1v1. there's more bodies on the side of the attacking Murray State than defenders. The defenders were isolated by themselves. So, had they played a little bit more together in Lebanon, it could have been a little bit different story, I feel. But that's a live and learn kind of thing. And we're going to move on. Murray State get their shot at defense. They're going to opt upstairs.
5 seconds to go.
I feel like this is the best place we can see Murray State go for. I mean,
Attackers
see
must
Lebanon
locate
Valley
and
being able to
defuse
get a
the
couple
bomb.
of flanks on this side, either on attack or defense, but ultimately Murray State, they've been strongest on this side. This is a really good opportunity to close things down. Their crossfires have been beautiful. Their late round flanks and peaks and executions have been beautiful as well. They've been able to really catch Lebanon Valley in all the situations, and right now they're trying to get a spawn. Lexios, though, having none of it, definitely woken up since the first couple of rounds. I mean, until we saw that basement attack, Lexios only had the 2 kills on the board, and that was about round 4. Now, though,
Massive kill. That's the smoke.
yeah.
That's your plant denial.
Oh, and well, Plexios Ederson is stepping up a lot more. He's able to take away that Malusi as well, the MP5. That's
It's, yeah, 2 huge deaths. So both teams now crazy in attack. They're getting these opening kills. They're getting multiple kills to open things up. In fact, early in a round 2, not even a minute in, they have a 2-man advantage. Now the positions are given away. You also lost your plant denial. You only have C4 in pocket and some Goyo canisters, I suppose, that might be placed to help with some of this denial. But overall, what are these defenders going to do? First, that you have to buy so much more time now, and you don't have the utility to do it, really.
Bomb located by attacker.
I mean, looking at this open situation, well, the attackers, they still have some of these EMP charges, they have these ace charges, but on the defensive side, in terms of utility, it's a C4, 3 impact nades. There's not a lot of utility to work with, as you said. The pressure on Piano is going to compound that a little bit more. Pressure on CEO Door might just ruin the NA players' position here. It might ruin their life in terms of Noodle's still playing down below. We'll have to try and catch Tiziano. We'll be able to do it, but not before the triple comes in for Plexios. 2 versus 4. The push comes into sight because he realized, well, there's one on site, there's one off. It's like Oregon all over again. Noodles with the C4 has to push forward. Has to get the C4 right. Are they going to do it? Yes, they are, but it's too late. The plant's gone down. And now Lebanon Valley, they can just back up. They know the players downstairs. There's 3 staircases that can go. 2 of them are in your line of sight. The damage is done to Senate, but that's not going to be it. Murray State, if you can play your cards right, you can close it all down. But there's just too many cards that aren't in your favor right now. Nicky Jam's going to make a chance of it, but as Noodles gets taken off the board, they're going to go for the aggressive play. Use that KV1. It's not going to happen. The Senate, they're going to keep Lebanon in it, and they have a 1 more round, Wilco. We have gone all the way. Overtime match point in map 3.
All right, round 15. We're getting every single ounce that we can from this map. And it's been a good one. It's been back and forth. We saw it was a split half, 3-3, and now in overtime, each team has taken their attacking side. So what are they going to do? All the bomb sites are available for Lebanon. They get to go on the defense here. They're going to opt for upstairs. I like the change up.
Attackers need to
saw
locate
that it
and
was a
defuse
pretty
as many
dominant
bombs
win
as
from Murray on the attack when they were attacking the bar in games. And of course, we've already criticized the defensive phase. 3 times he lost it. He didn't win a single time. This is your real last option. Now, I do think that it's interesting neither of these teams have tried for Kitchen, because it's really not a bad site. You see teams can probably do it all the time. It's not really that bad of a site. If you're having a struggle on a different bomb site, it's a very viable option. But, despite Lebanon not necessarily liking this bomb site upstairs, I think they've only done it once. They did win it. So, I do like this bomb site. I think it's a good one. Clearly, the bar defense last time was lacking a little bit, so this is a safer pick. And we did see that while the team that they had just gone up against, right, that Murray had under the defense on the site themselves, and they didn't win. You saw that it was very possible for the retake to happen. It didn't work out for them, but if they had a few more bodies left over, it's not as hard to retake as downstairs.
No, I feel like that C4 was absolutely huge, and I feel, yeah, Murray State, they're very, very capable, as are Lebanon, however. Thankfully, again, though, we're not seeing that bottom floor. I don't feel like it's been a really good site for either team. So, as long as we're not there, I'm happy at this point. This is where we really see the meat and the bones of most of the teams.
Bomb located by attackers.
Hearing a lot of usage of this Rotero, of this RCE, they are going to be useful as well. Utility Clearing out piano, most importantly, I feel as well. The ADSs that are normally positioned over there. You might have one my playing in that position. It plays out some utility. The same over towards that mezzanine side. You have that alibi. You have Plexios looking to add a couple of etches onto their kill count. And while we do see that first gunfight going through between DualShock and Davis, nobody's going to fall just yet. Bravo. Looking for piano, looking to establish a crossfire. This is where they really struggle in some of their earlier rounds.
A big thing that we haven't talked about too much, but this was huge in the last map, especially for Lebanon, because they had dominated so much, was those opening kills have been hugely impactful. They've been indicative of round wins more often than not, for sure.
Yeah.
Not every round, but many rounds. When you get the opening kill, you get the win. So that's going to be imperative here in the last round. Who can get this opening kill, give themselves that man advantage? But the other thing now that's going to be starting to weigh on Murray State is the time. If they get that opening kill now, they still only have a little bit over a minute. That is the Jaeger dead as well. So not a lot of utility lost for the defense. If you're going to lose a body, that's the one that you're okay losing.
Yeah, but a very tough situation. Nonetheless, NECC is still pushing in. Defenders, they have a good situation, but Plexios pulling back. Over at site, meaning 3 players to Murray State's 5. And while they do have these windows covered, they do have to be very, very careful. Potential and nades in general. Seeing a very different amount of that projectiles compared to what we saw last time. Now, Lebanon Valley holding these angles. They know DualShock's there. DualShock's at the attention of 2 defenders in one go. And while Nicky Jams does get taken out by Plexios, that's just evening things out. 35 seconds left to jump into piano as possible. The player down below, you take out Plexios, you can really start putting the pressure on the site, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Bravo's going to add on another frag, and things might just be falling apart for Lebanon Valley. As the piano, they hear the push come through. Mr. Davis is waiting, does not find a kill. It's all down to Emporium as Bravo finds that pick. They know exactly where he is, and as Bravo gets the kill, DualShock will find that consolidation frag. But that's going to be it. Murray State Gold, they will take that first round of the season. They will take the first map so far, Wes.
First map, third map, first match. That's what's going to happen for Murray State Gold. Lebanon Valley, after moving up, it seems, I could be wrong again about how that had happened, but what I knew from last season, they were in a different division. So to be up here now and playing the team that had won both playoffs in each season, fall and spring last year, they went toe-to-toe with them. It went to round 15. 1 round difference between them winning. So really good job from both teams. Really good job from Lebanon from stepping up and going up against this big hitter team. Really, made sure that they were going to remember them for later on. I think both teams will be looking back on this, especially when playoffs get closer. They're going to be looking at and seeing like, oh, we got some contests here. We got some competition to go up against.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like both teams definitely starting off on a good foot, a really strong setting for the start of the season. Definitely improvements to be made, but this is the place to be working out where these problems are. This is the time where you have the VOD review. Let's do it. Improve on these little things like that positioning in map 1 that we saw, or maybe that utility usage in map 3, or maybe a 7-1 that we saw in map 2. This is the time to be making those mistakes. Let's start to develop off of them. And honestly, you've got the makings of 2 great teams. Especially in this division, I feel like these 2 teams are going to be heavy hitters. I'm just very excited to see how they develop and how they improve throughout the season.
Something we'll be watching, and I'm glad that you all have stuck around and watched this matchup. It has gotten a little late. We apologize for the delays, but hey, we got to see a really enticing one, right? Down to round 15 on map 3. I mean, it can't get much better than that as far as intensity goes. So good job to both these teams. We appreciate your viewership. But that is it for tonight. So we'll catch you next week with Rainbow Six, but there are other esports going on with NECC, so be sure to check that out throughout this week. Thank you very much. Have a good night.